to another edition of your Wednesday night Sports Delight, the platform sports talk show.
Question is, did she subscribe?
Right.
I don't know. She's down on YouTube.
Representing from the Boondocks. What up, Jobo?
Hello, what's up? Happy Wednesday.
What up? She repping her Hey Sister Soldier look right now. Everybody give it up for Bunny. What's happening, Bunny?
What up? Happy hump day.
T-Bone, what's going on, brother?
I'm back, and I don't know about better than ever, but I'm back.
What is going on, party people? It is your Wednesday night Sports Delight, the platform sports talk show. I am your boy Smooth. I think that may be on a highlight reel tape. And we're glad that you are tuning in live along with the millions
And millions
of the platform sports talk show fans on once again your Wednesday night Sports Delight.
Really?
Or
Brinks truck backing up in his driveway with
There you go.
97 million. There you go.
all you hear is this.
Always somebody who's doing something to give back and letting the next generation.
Say straight.
Have me syrup on here.
Come on now, don't hit me too up. You know I get emotional.
But people watching around the world, no pressure. And we already have our favorite fan, Ms. Williams, saying, welcome, Brandon.
Well, how are you? Hi, Ms. Williams.
A guy who tried to give it his all and put on for the city, to be truthful. Because like I said, I'm St. Louis die hard.
The views of Smooth does not reflect the Platform Sports Talk Show or its sponsors.
What is going on, party people? It is your Wednesday night Sports Delight, the platform sports talk show. I'm back, your boy Smooth, back and better than ever. Feel like I've been gone for a minute because we had, of course, the ladies' night and we had the man cave going on, the last 2 weeks. But I'm back. The main show is here and we have another jam-packed show. So get them likes, get them shares going. Not right now, but right now. I'm not alone. I got the ladies right now with me from Ladies Night. First, she is the host of Ladies Night. Bunny, what is happening? She may have some connection issues, so we'll get back to her. But this other lady we have from Ladies Night, represented from the Boondocks, Joe Bo. What's good with you?
What is up? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. And I believe now Bunny is ready. But I'll wait till you give me the thumbs up, then I'll go ahead and bring her in. But yeah, happy Wednesday to you. Hope that you have been having a great week so far, Joe Bo.
I miss being off like I was last week. Work has been something else, but whatever. I'm here. I'm ready to talk some sports with you guys and excited for our special guest.
Yes. And Bunny, there she go. Go ahead and bring her in real quick. Oh, she said, wait a minute. I ain't ready yet. Okay, she is ready. Okay. So, it's the backstage stuff that y'all don't see, but I love my job. Hold things down. The host of Ladies Night, we have Bunny. What's going on with you?
Hey. Oh, thank you. Happy hump day, everyone. Sorry, my voice sounds like this. The sinus cold going on, but get through it like everything else in life. How's everyone doing?
Man, we are good. And ladies and gentlemen, this show is going to be starting off a little bit different because our special guest is ready and we ready for him. So without any further ado, this man here represents from the South Side, South City of St. Louis, just a few blocks away from that famous, delicious Ted Drewes. If y'all know about Ted Drewes, y'all sleeping on that good old Ted Drewes. But he had visions of playing sports from basketball to football to baseball, went to St. Louis University High School. Then when things didn't go quite the way he hoped for, he got right into press credential. Eventually got to start working for KTHV-TV, CBS in Little Rock, Arkansas, and then got hired locally here at KMOV-TV, CBS. Y'all know Channel 4 for a lot of people here in St. Louis. And he was also was a St. Louis sports anchor and reporter while spending his time at KMOV. So we definitely getting into that. He is the owner and operates Inside STL Enterprises, which he created in 2005. He is now on Hubbard Radio. Y'all can hear him every morning from 7 to 10 a.m. on 105.7 HD-2. And you can also hear him on 101 ESPN from 10 to 11, hosting the Balloon Party. And for the next hour, we're about to have a party with our special guests. Everyone show some love in the comments in. Let's have some fun. Mr. Tim McKernan. Sir, how are you doing?
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's a party. It's a party. It's a party. Yay! It's a party. It's a party.
See, we ain't popping bottles. We popping balloons right now.
Hey, but it's still a party. Balloon party. That's what I'm talking about. Look, we got we got kids in the room.
Man, I like this. I like the feel of this already. I got a kid over there showering like 20 feet from me, so we got the same thing going on.
Great. So I don't feel so bad for my kid while I'm at work. Exactly. I'm taking to work. I'm
right.
While you're working. Love it.
And if we see any water splash on your phone, we know why. But yeah, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know that we were working on getting you booked for the show, so thanks for adjusting your schedule and allowing us to be part of your hour or so right now. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Most definitely, and Joe can tell you, and of course Bunny, but we've had the pleasure of having a lot of your co-workers or friends or family from 101 ESPN, from Randy Carricker to Michelle Smallman, Kerry Davis,
Yeah.
Anthony Stalter, Brad Thompson, Danny Mack was on the show. So we've had a list of great guests from 101 ESPN. I kind of consider them family now because we've done a lot of stuff with them in the past, and it's good to have you as an addition to the lineup of people we've had from 101 ESPN and just from local media as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's a great guest list, man. Congratulations on the success of your show.
And we definitely appreciate that. And we always like to start off our show because we want to get into the personal life. We know that, from 10 to 11 on 101 ESPN, you're talking about sports, but this show here, we want to learn about you and get your story told from beginning to where you are right now, because that's the beauty of having these interviews with us, because we want to get into the juicy details of your upbringing. So we love to ask our guests.
Do it. Let's go deep. Let's
go. Let's get it.
Look, elbow deep or knee deep?
Let me grab my shovel real quick so we go super deep.
Oh, we're talking about digging 6 feet deep. Oh, okay.
But yeah, so Tim, just tell everyone, when did you first realize that you fell in love with sports?
I love the game of baseball. That was the 82 Cardinals. I recall my dad came home from work and let me know that that he had gotten tickets to a game in August of 1982. I was 5, and I remember being super excited about it and going to the game. And Lonnie Smith hit an inside the park home run that night. The next day, Glenn Brummer stole home plate, and 2 months later, they won the World Series. So that was automatic addiction from that point forward. Loved the football Cardinals, loved Missouri, football and basketball, St. Louis University, Blues, and lived and died with the Cardinals, though, all the way up until like my mid-20s. It was a little strange to get that upset about a regular season baseball game losing. But that's the way that I was. I'm not as bad now, though.
I was about to say, I mean, you must be like me this year, pulling your hair out and like.
I don't have any hair to pull out.
Hey,
pulling your beard out.
You can make it up off your beard. How about that?
Yeah, I'll rip it out.
There you go.
I am here.
Hey, you know what? I don't know if you know this, Tim. I'm a good little charm for the 82 Cardinals because I was born on September 25th, 82.
Oh, all right.
My mother said when I was born, she asked the nurse in the hospital if the Cardinals win. The nurse told her yes. So I helped them get in the World Series because I was born around that time.
How great is that? All right. Look at that.
And shouts out to our favorite friend, Miss Alice Williams. We call her Miss Dub. She also says, welcome, Tim.
It is my pleasure. Thank you so much. Great to be on with you guys.
Yeah, once again, we definitely have an exciting interview and show in store. So I see here that you were trying to be a multi-sport athlete, football, basketball, baseball. Which one was your favorite, and what do you think happened and why you got cut?
I loved baseball. I was convinced even when I got to high school that I was going to play for the Cardinals. So that was certainly misguided. I would say what happened is my genetics are terrible, and so therefore, I remember seeing on the depth chart a freshman football team at St. Louis U High that I was listed at 5 foot 2 inches, 100 pounds. So that wasn't necessarily really attractive to a football coach. If anything, that's a liability. When you're that. So I got cut from football, which it probably should have been the case, and got cut from basketball, probably for the same height-related issues. And the baseball thing surprised me, man. So after I got my freshman year, from the next day forward, I didn't stop working out, even though I was doing working out. It was 14 years old. Because I was just like, there's no way I'm going to get cut my sophomore year. And I made the team my sophomore year. It's not like it was anything special. So I had to come to terms with the fact that I wasn't going to be playing for the Cardinals. So that's when I knew I had to pivot off of playing sports to talking sports.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm being told that there's some echoing going on, so I'm not sure what's going on here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope that's not on my end.
No, I mean, well, I don't know. We're going to find out, but we're going to see why we're getting some echoing so we can make sure that this stream goes without any more issues. So let's see what's going on here. All right. And let me know, ladies, in the chat, or just give me a thumbs up if it's better. Joe.
Yeah, you've been sounding good this whole time.
Okay, so it's Tim.
Oh no.
No, but remember I said on the pre-show I heard an echo. Y'all didn't hear it, but I've been muted the last minute, so I don't think it's me. But let me know if it is me. Yeah, I'm hearing it again, so I guess I'm the problem. Here we go. I'm the problem. I need that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, so for those watching, let me know in the comments if y'all still hearing the echo. We'll try to continue to get that fixed. Not sure exactly why there is an echo. That Bunny is echoing. So let's see. It sounds like anyone who's not muted is echoing. So not sure why that's going on. So let me do a quick little refresh. I won't go anywhere, but I'm gonna do a quick refresh, but we'll see if everything is better. So give me 1 second, everyone. All right. So I did a quick little refresh. Hopefully that's better. And all right, Tim, go ahead and just say a few words just to make sure there's no echoing.
Well, I hope I'm not ruining your show. Those are my few words. I don't hear any echoing this time, so I think
it's better.
All right, cool. So thanks for those.
I'm muting any echo because I thought I was the problem.
No, it's a lot better now.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. There we go. See, that's why I love our supporters, because they want to make sure that this show goes on smoothly. You know, no pun intended.
I was about to say no pun intended, right? Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Plug.
So yeah, so going back in regards to high school, I mean, I was really big in regards to playing multiple sports. I played basketball, I played baseball. I tried football when I was younger, not in high school, but before high school. Played tennis and soccer. So was that something that your parents wanted you to do, was to try to play as many sports as you can?
I was coming from South City, Tam Avenue is where I grew up. My parents still live there. And in my neighborhood, not a lot of people went to St. Louis University High School. And so as a way really to get to know people, I tried out for the football team. You know, I mean, I was well aware I wasn't cut out for football. I guess I was fast, but that was the reason I did it. St. Louis U High's football team at that time actually wound up, my sophomore year, I believe, wound up having a team that went to the state championship and lost in the state championship game, but had a quarterback who wound up quarterbacking Northwestern in the Rose Bowl, Steve Schnurr. Jason Dulick, who is my cousin, was a wide receiver at St. Louis U High, who then went on to set records at Illinois, and then Scott Pfeiffer, who played football at Tennessee. So St. Louis U High was stacked. I didn't belong. I was just out there to try to meet people because I didn't know anybody from my neighborhood. I was under no delusion of grandeur there. And also the height thing is, I played basketball at St. Gabriel's in South City, and in South City, St. Gabriel's basketball grade school, it was a big deal. But I didn't expect that to lead to anything. But the baseball thing I loved. And so when you get cut from baseball team and you think you're going to play professionally, you start thinking about that story about Michael Jordan getting cut from his freshman team, and you're hoping you're the Michael Jordan, but it absolutely was not the case.
So I'm intrigued because you say you was about what 5'2".
I was 5'2", 100 pounds on the depth chart. I mean, that's like
Wow.
the insurance people came to them and go, "We don't need this risk on the field. He's not going to help us, and he might get killed."
100 pounds in your
100
year?
pounds.
I don't believe that, Tim. Come on. 100 pounds on one side of your body, not the whole.
I'm down to know what position did you try to play in football?
Pointer?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, exactly. What was I even thinking? I did a thing because, of course, everybody, nobody knows what they're doing. So everybody goes out there and they want to be a running back or a wide receiver. And so the way they filter through that, at least, this was a freshman football team. The coach goes out there and goes, if you can't run under a 5.040, you will not be playing running back or wide receiver. So we're just going to clear that out right away. And so like 75% of the guys were just done, and they're going to go be offensive linemen or play on the defense. So I was able to run under a 5.040, but we had 250 people in our class, or probably 100 guys trying out. The thing is, though, they don't cut anybody unless you are a safety risk. So in a way, it's a badge of honor that I got cut from the football team, because you got to really suck in order to get cut from the freshman football team.
I will say this, Tim, you must have been the good luck for them, because after you graduated from SLU High, they haven't been really competitive in football in a while, but I must say.
It's been a little rough. We've got we got Wingo this year, but CBC's beaten St. Louis U High, I think, every year since 2005 or something.
Yeah, it's been a long streak. My nephew graduated from SLU High in 2016, and from those 4 years he was there, I went to a game with him. They lost. I have a cousin that plays for CBC now, wide receiver, and he was talking mess to my nephew over the weekend. Like, yeah, they spanked him. It's like,
they got him. Yeah, it's been rough, but I assure you, had I played, it would have had zero impact. I would have been on the sideline where I belonged.
I made it feel good, like you're the good luck charm that they had a winning season while you were there, and after you left, it just fell apart.
I appreciate that. Yeah. The baseball thing was tough, but like I remember I grew up in a house where my dad was one of those Subway alums who loved Notre Dame. Being Irish Catholic, that's kind of the way that can work sometimes. And then my mom went to school at the school across the road from Notre Dame. At the time, Notre Dame wasn't co-ed, so she went to a school called St. Mary's, and so she was a big Notre Dame fan. And so still to this day, my parents cheer for Notre Dame, which I realize plenty of people hate Notre Dame, plenty of people love them, whatever. So Lou Holtz was the head coach of Notre Dame, and I was watching some press conference one day when I was in high school. And Lou Holtz, who was the head coach, said something. I mean, this had nothing to do with football, really, but I remember watching it because it became kind of, the guiding light for my career decisions. He said something along the lines of, the key to happiness in life is finding something you love to do and somebody dumb enough to pay you to do it. And I was like, oh, that sounds really good. So if I can't play for the Cardinals, then I want to be around the Cardinals. And so from that point forward, I thought to myself, well, then I want to be involved in Cardinal broadcasting. And since the University of Missouri Journalism School, is 125 miles down the road from growing up in South City, and being the oldest of four, also was more affordable relative to going to an out-of-state school. So helping my family out, I'm like, I'll go to Missouri and I'll go into the journalism school, because that way I can try to still be close to the Cardinals, even if I can't play for them, and I'll pursue broadcasting.
That's awesome. And, Mizzou and the state of Missouri overall, has a rich history in regards to great journalists and broadcasters who, born and raised and have done amazing things. So as you were getting to the broadcasting, who were some of those people that you followed or looked up to while you were working on yourself and your craft?
Jack Buck. I can't. The thing about Jack Buck, probably still to this day, one of my favorite, if not my favorite experience interviewing somebody, because I looked up to him so much. And also, they say, be careful about meeting your heroes, because oftentimes they just don't live up to it. But he absolutely did. He is who we thought he was, to paraphrase Dennis Green on the Bears. He was, I'd see him around the ballpark and I'd be more in awe of him than, I was around the ballpark working at Channel 4. I was 23 years old, so I was just thrilled to be there, man. And I, so you got that team had McGuire and Edmonds and that was a division-winning team, and Will Clark eventually on that team, Eric Davis, Ray Langford, Daryl Kyle. So I was more in awe of being around Jack Buck. And I recall 4th of July, 2001, I asked him if he would let me interview him for KMOV. We had a show called Sports Sunday. It was an hour-long show. Steve Savard was the actor, Vaughn, who I do TMA with now, and me were the sports department. And we did an hour-long show, and so I would do these long-form interviews. And Jack Buck agreed, and I think maybe it was on July 3rd we were going to do the interview, and he called me, and this is pre-cell phones, and he leaves a voicemail, and it's Jack Buck's voice on my voicemail. So it's like I want to just save it forever because it's his voice. And he's saying, Tim, I'm sorry, I can't do it today. My Parkinson's is acting up. He had Parkinson's. But can you come by the house tomorrow and we can do it? And I'm like, oh my goodness, come by your house on the 4th of July. It's Jack Buck. And sure enough, I go by there, we do the interview, and then he kind of gives me a tour of his home in his basement, and I hear his voice, Tim, come on over here. And I'm like over in his office, and he's out there and he's pulling out pictures, and it's him with Frank Sinatra and him with presidents. And it's just me and Jack Buck, this man I've truly worshipped since I can recall, showing me around his house. He was so kind. He was first class. And it's one of those moments in my life, much less career, that I will always be so grateful for being able to experience.
Man, that is awesome to be able to, meet an idol and for the idol to come through and still be humble and not be like, oh man, I used to love you, but now because your attitude, I can't stand you. He always just had that vibe about him, Mr. Buck, in regards to just being approachable. And I mean, I've heard stories from you. I've heard stories from Randy Kirker and Danny Mack.
Yeah.
Great. Just how great Jack had, was during this time.
Truly.
Tim,
go ahead, Bunny.
I was going to say that lineup you just listed or just said, that's actually, I think that was the 96 Cardinal, 95. I started watching Cardinal baseball in 96. So you had Eric Davis, Ray Langford, Brian Jordan in the outfield, Ozzy's last year, plus I don't know if Daryl Crow's on the team, but definitely. Oh, that was the year before McGuire came, right? He came in 97.
McGuire came in the trade deadline in 97. Davis wasn't on the 96 Cardinals. He was on the 2000. I think he might have been on the 99 Cardinals too. And I remember because I had a friend who worked at the Cardinals, and we were just like I said, and we're fans.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, it's certainly different now because the guys were older than me, or like Ankiel and I were around the exact same age, so we kind of developed a relationship and a friendship. And so Eric, my buddy, who I'm talking about, has the same height problem that I have, and so we were in this corner of the clubhouse. It was Jim Edmonds always says that was his favorite team because they were so fun. It was like a roast in that clubhouse every day. And Eric Davis and Will Clark were certainly two of the head roasters. McGuire didn't pull punches. And so I remember being in front of Eric Davis's locker, and he goes, "Look at you two." He goes, "How do you two even function being as small as you are?"
Did he say it? Oh,
it was great. It was great, though. I mean, I love him. I'm like, this is great. This is great. Eric Davis, who I grew up watching when he was with the Reds, and he was, a hell of a player with the Reds.
Yeah.
And now here he is, and he's just ripping us. And I mean, whatever. It's all fun and games. I don't really care. And then I remember somebody, like some reporter, sat down on one of the Cardinals players' couches, which we knew you don't touch that stuff. Like we can stand around, but you don't touch their stuff. And I remember some guy, like a photographer, sitting down on one of the couches and goes, "Man, this is our office. We don't come into your office and sit at your desk. What are you doing here?" So Eric Davis was just, he wasn't the captain of the team or anything like that, but because of his resume and the way he carried himself, that team had that kind of personality. That 96 team I loved, Bunny. I mean, that team was a win away somehow from getting to the World Series and playing the Yankees, and they
The
were
Braves got us.
that Braves
Man,
team.
The Braves,
don't remind me of that series. Oh my God.
That's when I
I
started
was
watching
driving
for
to
the baseball in the
to
playoffs.
go to those games, and they were up 3-1,
Mm-hmm.
and they just got worked over. But that was Ozzie and Willie, and they won a big game on Labor Day. I think the two of them, Ozzie's last year, and obviously Willie was toward the end of his career. That was the absolute best. But you look at that roster and you compare it to any Cardinal team that's been to the NLCS since then, and you would take any Cardinal team since then over that one. But yet that team was one win away from playing the Yankees, and that Yankees team that really started that dynasty that lasted for 13 years there with Jeter in his rookie year.
And Tim, you just brought us something, and because I know you was right there, probably in the thick of everything. But just tell us the tension between La Russa and Ozzie that year, because we know Wes Clayton came in and was saying start. The people didn't like it.
That was I was still in school, so I wasn't around it. But it's one of those things. There was a time here, just telling stories. This was, God, what year was this? This was within the last 10 years. La Russa wasn't the manager anymore. And me and my wife and Jim Edmonds and his wife, we were down at spring training, staying at PGA National in Jupiter. And it turns out La Russa was staying there. And so it's probably 1 a.m, and, everybody had some beverages. And La Russa sits down with me and Edmonds and my wife in the lobby. I think Jim's wife had gone to bed, so it's just the 4 of us. And he's all fired up, and he's going, I was so pissed off about what I was hearing on Sports Talk Radio in San Francisco, I decided to call in. And I'm going, oh, man, what's going on with you? That you get that worked up. You're a Hall of Fame manager. And he goes, you ever say anything on your show that you don't believe just for effect? And I said, absolutely not. Under no circumstances. He goes, well, I want to ask you a question. I said, okay, if you ask me a question, then I want to ask you a question. And I go, I get to ask anything. He goes, that's fine. You get to ask anything you want. I go, oh man, I got it. And the question I asked him wound up being a totally baseball nerd strategic question about the way that the Nationals managed their bullpen against the Cardinals in Game 5 of the 2012 NLDS. Because had they, I think it was Pete Kozma who got this base hit to give him the lead. I mean, Pete Kozma, who hit like $150, and had they walked him, Jason Mott was on deck, and he would have had to have hit Jason Mott, the closer, who isn't a hitter.
Right.
And the Cardinals would have had to go to Shelby Miller or some other reliever they were backed into a corner. But the Nationals pitched to Pete Kozma in a total mistake. I remember texting with Mark Mulder about it, actually, and Matt Vasgersian, because they were doing, I guess, the postgame show on MLB Network. And I'm going, Davey Johnson blew this. I mean, it was right there. And so I bring that up to La Russa, and I go, was that a miss by Davey Johnson? He goes, man, Stevie Wonder could have seen that one. That's the best one you came up with. And I go, I wasted my question. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, the question I would have asked would have been about him and Ozzie.
Yeah.
I knew, I guess I was just probably trying to show, hey man, I know the game. That's probably what I was doing. But I wasted my question because I really would have, if he's saying you can ask me anything, I mean, what would I have gone with? I would love to know that, because I can't tell you. I speak with such reverence about Jack Buck. Ozzie certainly, older than all of us, but I guess at this point he's probably in his mid 60s. And every time, here is a man who since the early 1980s, anytime he is out in St. Louis, and then plenty of times outside of St. Louis, he is recognized and he's asked for an autograph or a picture, and he handles it and the stuff that comes with that. And he's been dealing with it, for 45 years in a first class manner. I cannot say enough. I feel like Ozzie Smith's demeanor and the manner, and he still does a bunch of charitable work in St. Louis. I just
Right.
feel like I almost feel like his kindness, his demeanor, his greatness is underappreciated, which really is a strange thing to say, but he is such a first-class man. I put him in the same group with Jack Buck. At the same time, I think very highly of Tony La Russa and have. I mean,
whoa, not too many people say that line.
Oh, hey, this is my experience. Now he would rip me plenty of times. I mean, he chewed me out good plenty of times if he didn't like a question I asked, and then we would talk privately. But here are two guys who I like, two competitors, two baseball men, and I'm sure they both have a different side of the story. But I would love to know. I mean, if there's an interview I would love to do more than any, it would be sitting there with Ozzie Smith and Tony La Russa. I know it's never going to happen.
Never.
I would love to know what happened and then why. I mean, we're talking about, what are we talking? We're talking about almost 30 years here.
Right.
Why? Like, they're just, neither one of them are moving off of it. And it's rare to have a grudge like that carry on that intensely. And again, with a guy like Ozzie Smith, who has a 90+% approval rating. I mean, to really upset Ozzie Smith like that, I really like to know what happened. And I think it's a shame. I mean, they both show up for the Cardinal Hall of Fame stuff and conduct themselves, gentlemanly, but that one really surprised. Sometimes you're around guys and it's not my place to air out dirty laundry. And I wouldn't anyway. You keep things inside the room, but I see what I see. And Ozzie's, I mean, as I just said, is who you would think he is, just like Jack Buck. And I think Tony's a good man who would just handle losses terribly, and he could be, like a mafia boss with executing revenge on the baseball field. But I think he's a good guy too. So it just sucks that two Cardinal legends have this thing where, as far as I know anyway, they don't talk. Maybe they're over it now, but up until a few years ago, it was one of those things you don't even ask them about. Like if I play a lot of golf and Ozzie plays a lot of golf, and if I were playing Ozzie, I'd say, I'll play you for whatever a hole. I mean, within the realm of reason. I know he's got a hell of a lot more money than me. But I don't even want the money. If I beat you, we get to talk for 15 minutes about you and La Russa. And it doesn't even have to be with microphones. I just want to hear your side of it. And if you beat me, you get all the money. I don't care. I know it's not going to change your life anyway. But I want to hear that. That's what I'll put up, and that's what you got to put up. And that's what and maybe he would tell me his side of it. But I'd love to know La Russa's side of it. There's always two sides.
Did La Russa ask you a question or no?
He asked me, I told the story poorly. You're right, Joe. The question, he leaned in, and he always was drinking glasses of wine. So he leans in and he sets his wine down. He's he's like intense looking at me, and he goes, "Do you ever make anything up on the radio show?" And I'm going, absolutely. That was his question. And I'm like, that's such an easy question to answer. I'm like, I get to ask you anything, and all I got to do, it happens to be the truth, but that was his question. But he was all worked up about some San Francisco radio host. I can't even remember what it was. I remember thinking, God, this is so strange for all the stuff that he put up with in his career to be listening to a radio show in San Francisco and be so irritated that he'd call in. And I remember him telling me, and I just thought it wasn't that big of a deal, but it really worked him up. And then I wasted my question by asking about managerial strategy in a game that he wasn't even managing. So bad on me.
That's okay. We live and learn.
That's right. Yeah, if I get that again, I'm going to ask about Ozzie.
And we're going to be on the Coattail Platform Sports Talk show is going to be there. Like I said, no cameras or nothing. We just want to know too. Ozzie and La Russa are legends. So tell them, Fred, we're going to be there somehow or another. Just because
it's funny you said that, because Bunny and Joe, maybe that's the reason why we haven't had Ozzie on, because if we did, I was going to ask him about La Russa and 96. I was going to ask him about that, because me,
I feel like you two talk about this a lot.
Listen, I say never, because you never know what'll happen 10 years down the road. Because think of this. Whoever thought that the Pac-12 would not exist anymore, right? But it's about to happen. We never say there's never not going to be a big conference on the West Coast, and it's about to happen. So
all these
never
things,
say never.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I one of those things with doing an interview, and I love, it's like the thing that I do love. I mean, I love what I get to do. I'm super lucky, but I love doing interviews. Love doing long form interviews like this kind of stuff where you're just BSing with people. And I got, I don't know if people knew this because it's not like he was real public about it, but the legendary Raiders and Chiefs running back Marcus Allen lived in St. Louis for I don't know how long, a
Did
handful of years.
Wow.
Yeah, you know that? You guys know that?
No, I never knew that. That's what
I
like
knew.
Marcus Allen. I know him, but
Yeah, I
St.
think
Louis.
he lived in O'Fallon, Illinois, because his wife's parents. She grew up there, and now he's
Really? That's
yeah,
down the street from me, literally. But
oh, is that right?
wow.
Yeah. He's in it. I think he's in Atlanta now. I hear the echo again. By the way, the echo was gone, and now it's. Are we good? I hope I'm not messing you guys up.
Oh no, I don't hear anything. So Joe and Bunny got me, but I don't hear anything.
I just heard it again, but that's why I just muted.
Okay.
I still hear it now. Let me mute.
So hopefully I don't. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's cool. Marcus Allen lived here, and I got a chance to play golf with him. Oh, I hear it again. I hope it's not me. I'm sorry. Do you need me to leave and come back?
Yeah, I don't hear it. So Bunny and Joe gotta let me know. Oh, our listeners. She says she can hear it.
You guys hear it?
I'm gonna do one more refresh. Let's see what happens.
All right, cool.
All right, let's see if we're better. You can go ahead, Tim. Let's see if it's good to go.
All right, hopefully we're good. Yeah, it sounds like we're good.
Yep.
All right. You got the magic move with that refresh. That
I guess so.
You know, I want to talk about this Nats Cardinals thing. It's funny, first off, just how much baseball has changed in 10 years, 11 years. But because you said you said Mott was on deck.
If I'm not mistaken, Mott closed out that series, and had they walked Pete Kozma, I believe, I mean, this is 11 years, but had they walked Pete Kozma, Mott would have had to come up, and odds are, of course, he makes an out, or they pinch hit for him, and I think they had to pinch hit for him with like a backup catcher, like the third string catcher, and so I was thinking they would walk Kozma, and they didn't, and so it cost them the series, and the Cardinals, wound up being once again, like we were talking about, Bunny, a win away from the World Series. This time, they blew a 3-1 lead against the Giants, unlike the 3-1 lead against the Braves in '96.
Yeah, it was like 2014, I think. I can't remember what year, but the Nats and the Giants were playing each other, and I don't know if it wasn't Dusty. I can't remember who was their manager before Martinez, I think. But
it was Davey Johnson, I think. Or was it Matt Williams? Matt Williams managed him for a while?
Yeah, it was Matt Williams. That's who it was. I remember Strasburg was just like pitching the game of his life against the Giants, and then he took him out for some reason. I think just because like they wanted to like protect him, and I guess that's when the game started to get a little soft. And then that was that game that went like 15, 16 innings, and the Giants, I think Brandon Belt hit like 2 or 3 homers in that game. I don't know. It's like multiple Nationals managers there that made some questionable moves in the playoffs, but Martinez seems to be like he's a good manager now.
Yeah, they're letting him stick around even with the seasons they've had recently. So they're on a full rebuild mode there. Yeah, and you look back on that and remember they didn't pitch Strasburg against the Cardinals because they wanted to keep him healthy. And I think he's pitched like a total of 7 innings since 2020 and is basically done, obviously. And
sad.
Yeah, you look back. I remember thinking that in the time. I'm like, man, you never know when you're going to be back in this arena. You got to take your shot when you're there. But hey, I'm glad they didn't, because the Cardinals never would have won that series. So you're right, Joe. There are multiple examples of the Nationals mismanaging. They were just so good in 2019 they couldn't mess it up.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Oh, go ahead, Smoooth. I'm sorry, I didn't enough. Go ahead.
Oh, so I want to go back to the time that you got hired at KMOV.
Yeah.
And when I hear KMOV, the first person I think about, and most people would say Steve Sabor, but I think about Sunday nights for like maybe an hour or a half an hour. You had Zippa Zeppa. He was a legend. So did you have the opportunity to meet him and follow him a little bit? Because he was a legend, and I loved his energy every Sunday night when I was a kid, and just seeing his little special that he had on Sunday night.
Awards.
Zippo Awards. We actually talked about that on the show this morning, coincidentally. He was making, I mean, these days that industry isn't going to pay much, local television, but back then, that's a guy who may have been making close to $1 million a year in St. Louis. This isn't doing a national. This is in St. Louis. I mean, that's just not happening in local television. That probably isn't happening in many places, including New York and LA now. But that's how much he mobilized an audience back in the day to make sure at the time on Channel 2, you were watching the Zippo Awards. So then when he became a free agent, Channel 4 is like, we got to get that over here. And so then they paid him who knows what, but they got him over there. And so when I started at Camo V, he was still there. It was me and Savard and Doug, but Zip would still come in and they would still have him do the Zippo Awards. So he would still come in, and Zip, I mean, to me, that's a guy, as a kid that you put in the highest of esteem. And now he's in the same sports office as me. So I'm, starstruck. And he could not be a kinder, more humbler. I mean, he's just like the nicest guy in the world. And it was, incredible to be sharing the same sports department with him. Cause like you said, he was an absolute legend in St. Louis television.
You know what he's doing now? I know he retired, but is he doing any community involvement work or any?
I know he was anyway. I would imagine he still is passionate about his faith. And so a lot of what he did was he got out of television and he started working with charitable endeavors tied to his religion. So that's the last I heard of him, but I believe he's still in St. Louis.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell everyone about the morning after and you getting that show started.
Well, my thought process was, and maybe you guys have the same kind of thing with why you decided to do a show. I would describe it as it's economics applied to communications. Growing up and being from here and being a big sports fan, and this is around. I remember having this conversation actually with the exec, and we were down, I believe, at the Super Bowl in New Orleans. The Rams lost to the Patriots, and I remember saying to him, "I'm like, all the sports talk radio in St. Louis is geared for older people, and a lot of people just don't really want to hear like if the Cardinals are playing the Pirates, I don't need to hear a 20-minute interview with the dude who covers the Pirates to hear what's going on with the Pirates. It's just boring. I mean, maybe some people like it, but I don't think too many people in my age range really want to hear that. So I would like to do a show that appeals to a younger audience. And I think if we do that with sports, I think we could find an audience and have some success and make some money. And he was receptive to the idea, but didn't really do anything with it. I was anchoring at KMOV, and KFNS inquired about me starting to do radio there in the mornings before going in to do my stuff at Channel 4. And I was interested in it. I did it. And then I started working with Frank Cusimano in 2003. So I'm 26. And when Frank would take off, whether it be vacation or he had to do stuff for Channel 5, Martin Kilcoyne of Channel 2 and Jim Hayes of Bally Sports Midwest would fill in with me for Frank. And Frank obviously, well, I say obviously, but Frank has his style of show. I mean, he's been doing it, I think, for 30 years. And his style of show absolutely works. It still works. But Frank is Frank and I am me, and I'm not going to try to be Frank because I can't be. And so I do my own thing. And so we would do something, and Frank's show's called The Press Box, and when we would do our thing, his audience hated it. So they tried to rip it by calling it The Sandbox. But I love the name because I'm like, oh, good, it is a sandbox. We're in here and we're playing around, and you don't like it, but that's fine. This isn't for you. So I don't care. This is for younger people, And so when a new ownership group came in to buy KFNS in 2004, they wanted to restructure the radio station's lineup. And they said that show with me and Martin Kilcoyne and Jim Hayes, that is going to be our morning show because that's the direction we want to take this thing. We want to start appealing to a younger audience, and that show is going to do it. And that was 2004. And now we're sitting here in September of 2023, and I'm still doing that show. And I'm still, screwing off in the morning for 3 hours BSing about nonsense, and fortunately get paid to do it. Like if they called me tonight and said it's over, I'd be like, thank you. I got 19 years in my hometown of essentially playing around for 3 hours. I couldn't be more grateful for the experience. So thank you. I've got no complaints.
I love your bluntness when you said it's geared towards the younger audience and you don't care if they don't like it.
That's not for them. Yeah, I mean, if I went and spoke at a certain kind of like a political convention, not to get into that, but I mean, what I would think and what I would say, it's not for them. I'm not trying to win them over. So I'm not a chameleon. I am who I am. You are who you are. We think what we think. I can respectfully disagree, but I'm not going to change my opinions just because that's going to quiet down these, at the time, older people who thought we all had to act and behave a certain way. If you don't like it, turn it off. I'm fine with that, and that's always been my attitude. I've never understood the concept of the hate watch or the hate listen. If there's a show I don't like, I don't seek it out to listen to it. If I'm listening, on the off chance I'm listening to music on the radio, I realize that's outdated. But if I hear a song that I don't like, I don't call the station to complain about the song. I just go, I don't want to listen to the song. I shall flip the station. It seems rather logical to me, but for whatever reason, it seems like usually older people are threatened by the idea of differing opinions or different style of content and want it to be snuffed out. And so therefore, I'm more than happy to take their criticism because, it's 2 decades later and I'm still here.
You said the magic word, threaten. I work with older people with my alumni association. And so when we would try to offer different ideas or do something, they would grumble and rumble. And I told my friend, I said, if we're making them upset, we're doing something right because we're doing something not status quo. Exactly. We're not sticking to what you've always done.
100%. I couldn't agree more with that. So, and at this point I'm 46, so I'm no longer part of the club, but I still recognize the flaws in that kind of thinking. And I hope I keep that, until I'm gone, because I think it's healthy to welcome new views. I think if anything, St. Louis has done a poor job of cultivating new and young voices. I mean, I'm still, I guess, considered one of the younger voices. And like I said, I've been here since 2000, grew up here. So when I was in charge of radio stations and my company took over radio stations, at times I thought it was incredibly important. You got to put your lineups on that are going to make you money. It is a business.
Right.
To hear
not volunteer work. You got to make money.
Yeah, man. Your show has to generate revenue and a profit. It's not a charity. Right. But on the off hours, whether it be at nights or early mornings and weekends, you in my opinion, you use that time as like a minor league baseball system to bring in new people and give them a shot. And ideally they become your farm system so that when somebody who is established moves on, or there's a contract negotiation that you're not willing to go where they want you to go, you go, that's fine. You can take off. That's cool. We've got this person who's doing a show at night who kills it, and we're ready to move them up. As opposed to, just the people who write for the Post-Dispatch or work in television. And then you see the same people over and over again. It's important to get new voices. It was important to me to try to find diversity in the voices. And I'm not just saying that because of our different backgrounds. That the people who worked with me know that. Brian Burwell and Mike Claiborne. That was incredibly important to me because my perspective growing up in South St. Louis, an almost all white neighborhood, is going to be different than other people's perspectives coming from a different neighborhood. So it's important to get different opinions. It only makes my opinion stronger if I can hear from different people, or maybe I'm wrong and then I learned something. So I think it's important to do that if you're in a position to have any semblance of controlling media space. And so that was something that was important to me when I was doing that.
Sound like you need to be in ownership and management of some radio stations and stuff, Tim. You got a lot of good ideas here. We need to
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So speaking of control, or maybe not having control, we know 2021, the pandemic changed lives, changed careers for a lot of people. For the Sports Talk Show, it actually elevated us because we had interviews, but we didn't have a lot of access to people until COVID happened and a lot of things were shut down, and we were one of those shows that had an outlet to a lot of people who may not have had the opportunity prior to COVID for us to reach out to them because they were, so busy. But we had the opportunity to finally, get guests on, like on a rapid pace. Like every week we had different guests on, and it just elevated our show. I seen, because I'm a avid 8 hours a day, more than likely listener of 101 ESPN, and they made sweeping changes from Bernie Miklasz to Kevin Wheeler gone to this person was gone, that person, and then Hubbard Radio brings in the morning show, the morning after, and also you coming in eventually for the balloon party, taking over for the spot that Danny Mac left. Listening to you the first couple of days, I was like, okay, I recall Tim McKernan from back in the day, the whole nine. But then, from your point of view, did you feel that the listeners, because they were so in love with hearing Danny Mac, for that hour, do you feel like it took listeners a minute to gravitate to you, to appreciate, what you brought to the table for that hour being on 101 ESPN?
Yeah, well, it goes back to what Bunny was just talking about with change. I actually discussed this on my podcast earlier today. If you have an established personality who leaves, whether they were fired or they leave on their own accord, and then you bring in somebody the audience isn't familiar with, in particular in St. Louis, a provincial market, relative to, say, like in Atlanta or Dallas, which is more transient, that person is going to receive a hell of a lot of criticism. It's just the deal. And if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't get in the game in the first place. So I'd already been through it, because when we started doing, what is now known as the morning after, but was at first the morning grind in 2004, the show was hated so much in July and August of 2004 that they were thinking of getting rid of it, because the outcry for, oh my God, what are these guys doing with sports talk radio in St. Louis? And it really wasn't even that big of a deal, but it was so different than what they were used to, that KFNS nearly got rid of us, and we were under contract, so they would have had to pay us out. But again, here we are in 2023, and the show is still going. So I've been through that. Here's the thing, one of the biggest stories in sports right now is Deion Sanders. And one of the reasons why Deion Sanders, which I can't get enough of this, for the record, and I'm pulling for him through and through. I'm a big Missouri fan, but I can't wait to watch Colorado every weekend now.
Same here.
One of the reasons I love what he's doing, and also one of the reasons why he's so successful, is he doesn't need the job. And so if Colorado fired him, he's not going to go, man, I wonder how I'm going to pay the mortgage this month. He's good. And therefore, the most dangerous person is the person who doesn't care what winds up happening. And Deion Sanders has a system. He believes in the system. He knows the system works. And he's also telling plenty of people who are on that Colorado roster, if you're not willing to follow the plan, you're more than welcome to leave, because I know this is going to work. And you might not like it. You can rant and rave about me on social media all you want. I'm going to win. And if you don't believe me, look at my track record. So applying that to the balloon party thing, I've already been through that stuff. I mean, this isn't said in a braggadocious manner. It's just kind of the way it is. My main job is TMA. If they said today, hey, balloon party's over, I'd be like, fine, I got another hour to go work on my 7-iron. I'm good. I don't need it. So I think what wound up happening was the audience started to realize that me and Dan went to the same grade school, St. Gabriel's. He's a couple years older than me, but we're both from the same neighborhood. We've known each other since we were both in the 4th grade. And it wasn't like Dan was whack. Dan had, he thought he was going to be going back on the road with the Cardinals after the pandemic. And so they just needed somebody who was going to be in there the whole time. And I would be done with TMA at 10. And so it made sense for me to do that 1 hour. Fine with me. But I think so obviously the shows are different, but I think what people began to appreciate, and I'm sure plenty of people still hate it, but that they knew I was just going to say what I thought. And it wasn't going to be a, hey, I know you might not like this. I'm sorry about that. But here's my opinion. It was, here is my opinion. Here is why I think this way. You may not like it. I don't really care if you don't like it, because I think my responsibility hosting a show is to be honest with you. That's my primary goal. I think that's the first commandment of being a broadcaster, is to be yourself and be honest with the audience. And so sometimes I will say things that are unpopular, and therefore maybe I'm unpopular. But again, I don't care. So fine, don't like me. You don't know me. So say you don't like me. Write bad things about me. It doesn't matter. The checks are still lovely. So
I love it. I love it.
I just don't care. I'm not running for office. My obligation is to be honest with the audience. And all I want is the audience to know that when they listen to me, they know this is what I really think. I'm not going to say things that are mean-spirited and personal per se, but I'll be critical of people who I may, have a relationship with away from the field or the ice or the court. But I have an obligation to the audience to give my opinion. And people can rip me. That comes with the territory of being in the arena. This isn't a one-way street. I'm in the public arena, and people can say I suck or there's somebody else. That's fine. That comes with the territory. But my job, to me, is to be honest with the audience. And I think, therefore, people now know what they're going to get on that show. And that is, at least, I can't say it's the truth because it's merely an opinion, but I know where I'm coming from. And I know I'm not going to hold something back just because it might be unpopular. I loved Joe Strauss and Brian Burwell. They did a show, I say for me, but worked with me when we were at CBS Sports 920. And Joe and Brian oftentimes would write or say things that were unpopular in St. Louis. They both were not from here. And they thought that oftentimes led to kind of an inbred media scene where people were just fans and therefore scared to say something critical because they grew up as fans of the Cardinals, the Blues, the Rams, or Missouri or SLU or Illinois or whatever. But then they came in and they would say what they really thought. And sometimes people didn't like that. But hey, I knew that if I read their columns, even if I disagreed with it, it was their honest opinion. And that's personally what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for somebody to blow sunshine up my backside. I want what they really think. And I want to pick up a column or listen to a show and not know where somebody's going to be before I hear them, because then I think that's the most honest approach is, things change case by case. And sometimes you're just wrong, man. I've been wrong a million times about things. So, but I think it's important to own that with the audience and acknowledge it and not move the goalposts.
It sounds like you drink a cup of authenticity and I don't give a beep every morning before the TMA. And I love it. I love it. You don't get too many people say that. So I love you. Keep drinking that cup, okay?
I appreciate it. I love it. I wouldn't do it any other way. I wouldn't. I'd go do something else. I'd go back to bussing tables at Pietro's before I went on there and lied to people.
I love it. Because sometimes you don't hear people say that they're like, being blunt. Like they want answers or hear you talk like Ollie Marvel, like, oh, this is the fluff. Give it to them 100. You can't do that. The manager, I know, technically, for viewers and the spectator fans. So, but you can't.
The tough thing is, the thing that I've learned, and I did a show with that Jim Edmonds, who I have developed a friendship with over the years. And I recall doing a show with him. And Jim, he's now a broadcaster, but at the time he wasn't, and he was just kind of doing this show. Really, we're just kind of messing around. And I remember him saying, he goes, yeah, you're probably right. And this was on the air. He goes, yeah, you're probably right. And this was about the 2013 Cardinals, a team that won the pennant. He goes, but, neither one of us are in the clubhouse. So when it gets down to it, we really don't know the truth or what we're talking about. And I go, oh, God, you just destroyed the sports radio business, because what you said is 100% true. But everything we do is speculating, because we don't know. There are so many times, I look back on it with Tony La Russa, and I could tell he didn't like JD Drew because if Daryl Kyle or somebody were hurt, Daryl Kyle, man, he's a really tough guy, but he just can't go. And if he said JD Drew, what's going on with JD? Well, JD, he's got an ouchie. And that was his way of kind of hinting it. It was kind of like a, a lame excuse for not playing. And you don't know this stuff when you're doing it. And then you come around later on and you find out what was really going on. And you go, I was in that clubhouse. I was around those guys. Like Kerry Robinson would come into my place and we'd play Madden against each other. I didn't even know this stuff was going on. But at the same time, I know there are people who are fans of TMA and they think they know what's going on the show. And I know they don't, because we keep the stuff in the room. That's how you build a successful team is, you got to sometimes just keep stuff in the room. It's the way that it is. And that doesn't mean you're dishonest. It just means you don't go, yeah, we had a fight this morning, or something like that. You do your job. You compartmentalize it. Just like I suppose a professional athlete might have a tough day at home, but he's still got to come in and he's got to hit a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. You got to do your job.
Right. So something that I want to discuss, and we've been on the air every Wednesday for 6 years now, and it's been truly a blessing. And this show has got to the point now that I have all ladies panel and all males panel as well. And one thing that I have been promoting a lot on social media, especially with the platform Sports Talk Show, is family. We're all family now. We come from different aspects of life, the whole nine, but we're all family. How big is that for you with your TMA crew and also with Jackson Burnett every day?
I was a quote unquote free agent in 2021, and I was lucky enough to have an opportunity at KMOX that if it wasn't written about in the newspaper, I wouldn't talk about, because that's a private thing, but it was written about. I think I know how it got out, but whatever, it happened. It was not ideal that was written about. You'd prefer to not have your job situation, but I mean, hey, we speculate about free agents with the Cardinals. So, I guess it's only fair that my stuff gets speculated about. And then also with where I wound up going with Hubbard Radio, and I would talk with the people who were interested in hiring me, and I would say, I appreciate that you want to hire me, but the reason for the success of this show is not me. I work with incredibly talented people, and maybe I'm a part of it. But if you want the money that you associate with me to come over with me, as in the advertising revenue, then you need to make sure that you bring all of the show, because if you don't, I'm not coming. And so that is how it wound up going down. I hear the echo again, and I hate to say that, but I want to make sure that I'm not echoing for you and your audience.
All right.
It's like every 30 minutes.
Oh, is that right?
And normally this does not happen, so I'm not sure why. But give me one second.
Man, it's me.
No, remember I told you I'm the problem tonight. Remember I said, here I go, I'm the problem.
All right. So
women own up to when they make a mistake, Tim. So you gotta tell them everything is okay.
All right. So stay tuned, everyone. The Platform Sports Talk Show will take a little. All right, we are back. I believe we are good to go now. Let me know.
All right.
Everyone else.
I don't hear any echo. I think we're good.
All right. We are good to go. Thanks again for letting me know, everyone, because I can't tell. Cause I can't hear the echo. Everything sounds good on my end, but I trust for those, our listeners, they know what's up. So I'm going to make sure that I be on my P's and Q's. Miss Dub says echo is gone. Confirmation I need. There we go. All right. So continuing on, you just talked about family and how important that is. Talk about earlier, you brought up Jack Buck and how he was your idol. You met him. Who is a celebrity, athlete, etc., that you have met that you just loved your time around that person, and who was someone that you hope to look forward to talking to or meeting?
I think I had two experiences within a couple of months of each other that still, even now, looking back 23 years, I guess they were 22 years. I can't believe it happened. Perhaps the best interview, it wasn't anything to do with me. It was him, actually. And he was known for never doing interviews and being a terrible interview when he played, was Barry Bonds. I got to a point when I started at CAM-OV that I became aware that even though I was a fan, these guys had zero interest in doing interviews. And so it didn't matter. I was a fan. They're told every time they go out in St. Louis that somebody's a fan. So they didn't care I was a fan. I was, if anything, and I get it. I don't take any offense. I was a nuisance. They want to be able to hang out in their lockers or go out on the field and play or just go home. And they don't want to do interviews. So I get it. So it became amusing to me to go up to guys before games and ask them to do interviews because I looked forward to how they were going to tell me politely or not politely to essentially get lost. So it became like a game. And then, I'm 23 years old and I'm single. So I'm going out with my friends after games and after shows and going to bars. And I go, oh, you won't believe the way Ken Griffey Jr. told me to get lost today. It became like a little, here's what I did at work today. I was told to piss off by this guy, so it became fun. So I'm like, oh, Barry Bonds is coming to town. This one's going to be great. So, it won't get any better than Barry Bonds telling me. So I go up to Barry Bonds in the Giants clubhouse and he's sitting in that famous leather chair that, you heard it was written into his contract. And sure enough, it was in there. And I walk up to him and I can tell that his teammates are like, oh my God, this guy is walking up to Barry. And I said, hey, Barry, you want to do an interview? And I already know he doesn't, but I'm just like, I don't care. I can't wait for him to tell me, whatever creative 4-letter words to go away. And he goes, but I'm 23. I couldn't look any less threatening. We go back to 5'2", 100 pounds on the depth chart. Maybe I'd put on, 5 pounds since then or something. But either way, I look like a freak in that clubhouse. So Bonds says, man, what do you want to talk to me about? And I'm like, oh, that wasn't what I was expecting. And I go, I don't know, you're good and stuff. And he kind of laughs and he goes, okay, let's talk after batting practice. And I go, oh my God. I go, Barry Bonds has just agreed to do an interview. So I go back to Channel 4 because the building was, I don't know, like 2 blocks away from Busch Stadium. And I run back over there and I tell the assignment desk, I said, hey, I need a photographer. Barry Bonds has agreed to do an interview with me. And they're like, Barry Bonds is going to do a sit down. And I'm like 2 months into my job. I'm, like I said, 23. I'm like, yes, he said he's going to do an interview with me. And so they bring a photographer back. I wish I could share this picture with you guys because I actually, you know what? I can just maybe pull it up on my phone.
I was gonna say, if you want to send
yeah. Here you go. God, who did I share this picture with? Because it is, you won't recognize it. The guy without the hair now had a full, wonderful head of hair, and it's gone by the way. So let's see if you can see it on my phone here.
And if not, you can send to me via email real quick. I'll get it posted on the screen.
All right, there it is. Look at this. There you go. You can see it.
Wow.
Yeah, the hair thing is throwing me off.
Right.
It's throwing me off more. Trust me. It looks like I could pay rent to live inside of his arm. So he sits there and he does this interview with me, and a photographer was kind enough to take the picture. And I didn't go, so what's it like to be a great ball player? I'm like, man, everybody says you're an a-hole. What's the deal?
You went straight to it.
Oh, yeah, because that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to ask the questions that I want to ask. I'm not like, oh, what's it like? How do you recognize the curveball versus the slider? Who gives a damn?
You went straight to it. Okay.
So their fans over the dugout screaming for his autograph. I go, man, if you walked over there and took 5 minutes out of your time to sign maybe, let's say, 20 autographs, 4 per minute. For 20 people, they'd remember that the rest of their life. I said, why not do that? He goes, man, you don't understand it. We don't get paid to sign autographs. I get paid to hit baseballs, just like I don't get paid to do interviews. I get paid to hit baseballs. And then the thing is, I do interviews with you guys, and then you go and talk bad about me. So why would I help you out? I don't need to do this. And then when I do help you out, you talk bad about me. So that's why I don't do it. And I go, man, this guy is making a lot of sense.
Right.
You know? And so the next year he comes back to St. Louis, and it was that year that he was pursuing McGuire's record, and then he wound up breaking it. And so they set him up to do a press conference at Busch Stadium because they knew he was going to get a bunch of media requests. And I'm like, I wonder if he will, you know, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, me and Barry are boys now, you know, I mean, this is going to be good, you know. And sure enough, he walks into the room to the press conference and he sees me and he smiles. And I'm like, oh my God, we really are. I got to do another interview. And so Steve Savard, who's, you know, the sports director at Channel 4, he goes, you're going to get Barry this week. You know, like it's now it's expected. The bar's been raised. Before it was a joke. There's no way Bonds is going to do an interview. And now it's, you know, see if you can get Barry this time. And I'm like, I got to get Barry. So I'm on the field and he's coming out for batting practice and he sees me. He goes, what's up, man? Oh, and I regret this so much. And I don't even like telling the story. I go, what's up, man? You think we can do an interview when you're in town? And he looks at me and he goes, man. And he shakes his head and he just walks away. And it's like in his mind, we were boys. But I went right to him for the interview as opposed to just like talking to him like a guy. And it was over. It was, I'm telling you, just like that. It was a weekend series. So that was probably was a Friday, Thursday or Friday. And I remember going over to the ballpark. I think they might have played him on a Sunday night. And I went up to him and I chased, for lack of a better term, chased him down. And I said, hey, man, I'm really sorry about, you know, whatever, asking for the interview. You know, I apologize. And he talked to me and he goes, hey, man, no problem. That's cool. But he talked to me like I wasn't even there. Like I had gone from being the guy he recognized and he looked forward to talking to. And he, as politely as he could, he blew me off like, man, you're just like the rest of them. And to this day, I hate it. And then if there's one more that I would say is in the same realm, and you got to be, I suppose, of a certain age to appreciate it. So, I mean, I'm throwing these both at you, and these both absolutely happened. Bobby Knight. I mean, if you're asking people like from the 90s and 2000s who you don't even bother asking for an interview, be like, oh, Barry Bonds, Bobby Knight. But that's how I was at the time. I'm like, I'm gonna you know, you can't score a goal without firing a puck at the net. So you got to try. And if he tells me no, great. I'm in the same spot I was before I asked. So who cares? And if he tells me to get lost, he tells me to get lost. What does it matter? So this was at the time when he was about to get fired from Indiana for the choking video, if you remember. And and everybody wanted to interview Bobby Knight. So I'm anchoring at Channel 4 on a Saturday night, and the cameras show that he's in the crowd. And the game goes to extra innings. And I'm like, I am going to get the interview with Bobby Knight, not Dan Patrick or Rich Eisen or Stuart Scott. My ass in St. Louis, Missouri at 23 years old is going to go over to Busch Stadium and he's going to talk to me. Now, I think about that now and I'm like, man, you were crazy. But at the time, it made all the sense in the world to me. And so I go over to Busch Stadium. The game ends. Bobby Knight's walking up the steps. I have a photographer with me. I'm sure the photographer's like, why are we doing this? And I walk up to him and he sees the microphone and he goes like that, just waves me off. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. You know, I at least tried. So we go down to the Cardinal clubhouse, and that was the McGuire era. So I guess McGuire may have hit a home run. And so the protocol was you wait around to ask McGuire about the home run, even though he had zero interest in talking about it. And he would sometimes try to wait out the media and just like hide out in the shower to take like a 2-hour shower just to avoid doing the interviews. And so while we're waiting for McGuire, and it's a Saturday night, so not that many people around, probably 11 o'clock, I see Bobby Knight is sitting in Tony La Russa's office and what turns out to be by himself. And so I go in there and his eyes light up like, oh my God, you are going to come back and ask for an interview again. I can see it because I grew up with, that's how my dad was when I like upset him. His eyes would get real big and I recognized it in Bobby Knight. And he's looking at me like, you're going to ask again. I'm like, no, I'm not asking for an interview. I just wanted to say something I would never do now, but I did it then. I'm 23. I said, I'm a huge fan. And I know you're going through a really tough time right now. And I just wanted to say, I hope it works out for you and everything's cool. And he was stunned by it. And he goes, have a seat. So now it's just me and Bobby Knight sitting in Tony La Russa's office, just the two of us. And I'm having a conversation with the guy who, is the biggest story in sports at the moment because, I mean, he's been this god at Indiana and he's about to lose his job. And it's just me and him BSing. And he goes, where'd you go to school to do this? And I go, he goes, you should have gone to Indiana. We have a great communication school. I said, well, I went to Missouri, #1 journalism school. And he goes, oh, journalism, don't give me that crap, And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting real Bobby Knight here,
Mm-hmm.
I know my mom went to school there and got an education and it did her master's, and my mom got a master's in theater in Indiana, and he's talking to me, and then La Russa walks around the corner, and he sees Bobby Knight there, which he expected, but he. I mean, it could have been the Easter Bunny, and it would have been less of a surprise than me sitting there in his office talking with Bobby Knight. And he looks at me and he goes, whoa, what are you doing here? and then Bobby Knight says something like, oh, we're just having a good conversation here. And so I like that happened. I know it happened. And I still can't, 23 years later, I still can't believe it happened because, I mean, I don't even know who to compare him to now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just don't ask Bobby Knight for an interview. On top of it, is Bobby Knight about to get fired? Bobby Knight,
right?
Bobby Knight about to get fired? Bobby Knight.
So
I remember walking out of there and meeting up with my buddies, of course, as usual, to have drinks that night. And I remember telling them the story. We're at a bar in Soulard, and I go, man, maybe now that we bonded, should I have asked Bobby Knight for the interview afterwards? And in my mind at the time, way back then, I was thinking I should have. But now, 23 years later, there's no doubt in my mind that I did the right thing by not asking for the interview, because there's no way in hell he would have done the interview. There's no way in the world he would have, and I would have ruined the moment, because it would have been just like the Bonds thing. It's like we bonded, but then it would have all been like, it was all blown up because I was only acting that way to get the interview, which I wasn't. I truly came in there in good faith. I just wanted to say that. And he reciprocated it and treated me like a normal human being. And we had a conversation, and that was the same thing with Barry Bonds. I think if I would have asked him about what's it like to hit a home run and all that, he would have been whatever. And I think we bonded because I asked him questions that people probably don't usually ask him, and he remembered it and he respected it. It's just he didn't like it when I came back and asked for another interview when he thought we were boys. So, I mean, to interview Barry Bonds and to sit with Bobby Knight, I know those references are probably dated for younger people, but I mean, those are two like the most hardcore interviews in 21st century American sports. And I got to sit with both of them. And I look back on that with just an incredible amount of like, man, that really happened, and gratitude that I got a chance to do it,
Yeah, those are both awesome stories. And I love asking questions like those to our guests who are like in your field, because they have so many awesome stories. Real quick, who would have thought that the Cardinals would go on a 9-game road trip, face the Braves, the Reds, and the Orioles, and only lose 3 games?
Oh my goodness. If you would have, I love gambling. And if you would have set the over under on that at 3.5, that would have been the right number for wins,
though, it's the typical Cardinals in September. I don't care. Did you see this disgusting lineup tonight?
Yes.
The number of strangers getting a chance to play.
And
right.
I'm only saying this because I've been seeing it on the X. On the X is Big Dick Richie. He's out here hitting 3 homers in this game, in this series. Like, who would have thought that? You know, like, holy cow.
I took my son to a game for his birthday. We took him to a game against the Mets. It was a Sunday afternoon game, and I was hotter than hell, but he wanted to go to a game, and he just turned 6. And I'm like, all right, we'll do this. It was great because it was easy to get tickets and cheap to park and all that. And I remember he goes, who's this guy? And it was Richie Palacios. And I go, oh, he's a guy who's only playing because he, everybody else is hurt or the team's terrible. And then he winds up making like a Willie McGee 1982 World Series catch to rob a home run from DJ Stewart of the Mets. And now he's gone off like Bonds and he's hitting home runs. And I mean, he was hitting like a $194 when I saw him playing against the Mets with no home runs. You would talk about over-under. I would have said over-under home runs for him, 0.5. And now he's raking.
All you need is an opportunity.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. Just get that opportunity and maximize it.
And it's funny. I saw a tweet today. I'm gonna keep saying tweet. Sorry. Saying something like, if you would have told me that Burley, Palacios, Wynn, and Fermin and Kisner was our starting infield in September, I would have thought we ran away with the division, we popped champagne already, good to go. But like, this is weird and brutal. But whatever. This is 2023.
Yep, hasn't happened. Truly, I mean, there has not been a September like this in St. Louis where there's just nothing. Because in the 90s, 96, we already talked about. Obviously, that team won a division. And in 97, 98, 99, you had McGuire. And then 2000 all the way through 2022, every year, even including 2007, they were in a race, whether it be wild card or central, even if the team wasn't that good. So you got to go back to 1995, pre-Tony La Russa, to have a September where there's just nothing going on. I guess the closest thing you can get is Adam Wainwright and 200 wins. Otherwise, there's just nothing going on. It is a foreign time around here, man.
We're going to redeem ourselves. Starting with the Blues. We're going to redeem ourselves. Of course, we have MLS team doing good. But we're going to redeem ourselves with the Blues. Even Mizzou, they're going to redeem themselves. I promise you.
I hope you're correct on that. I would love it. We haven't had anything like this.
At the bottom, all we can do is go to the top. And
that's all right.
The MLS team, our soccer team, is keeping us afloat here.
Yeah, if you would have said the expansion soccer team would be in first place and the Blues and the Cardinals would be sellers,
right.
You could have gotten like 1,000 odds on that.
Brutal.
How can I ask you before you go, Tim?
Yeah, one more question. Sure. I have to put my kids to bed. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I could sit here and talk to you guys for 10 hours. I
just asked people from the St. Louis area. So, do you think St. Louis will ever get an NBA team? As much as I love basketball, I don't get to see us,
I would absolutely love it. I can't tell you how much I would love it. I would love it not just from the element of the sport being here. It would also say something about St. Louis's trajectory if the NBA wanted to put a team here, because that means we would have gotten our act together as a metropolitan area, and they would want to put a team here, because that means the population would have the support for it, and the corporate sponsorships would be in there, which means businesses would be coming into town as opposed to leaving town. So it would have, from a macro standpoint, positivity, not just from having an NBA team here. But if you ask me, in the next decade, I personally don't see it. I would love to see it. I just unfortunately don't see it. It would be wonderful. I mean, to think that this market had, in the 1960s, NBA, NHL, NFL, and Major League Baseball. And now we're here with baseball and hockey. And listen, I love, as we've spent plenty of time talking about, my love for the Cardinals and the Blues, and Missouri, as a guy who went to school there. The reality is, especially for younger people, if you don't have the NFL or the NBA in your city, what does that say about your city? And like I said, I'm going to say what I think, and I know it might not be popular, but the reality is the more popular sports nationally, especially with younger people, are the NFL and the NBA. And that doesn't mean I don't like the Cardinals or I don't like the Blues, but both things can be true. People in St. Louis might not want to hear that, or they might not want to accept it because they might not like the NBA, or they might hate the NFL after the Rams thing, but it doesn't mean that it's not popular outside of St. Louis. So I would love to have them both back. But if you ask me to put any money on that, I would politely decline because I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Well, with that being said, Tim, thank you once again for taking time out to be.
And I love this
platform.
conversation. Thank you guys. This has been great. I would love to come back when I'm not on putting 1-year-olds and 6-year-olds to bed.
That's it. No, you do it with your eyes closed. You see, when you came on the show, I had my 1-year-old.
I know. Look at you.
I got a multitask.
My 6-year-old like Tony Montana and Scarface. Like he's got so much energy. I'm like, is he sitting over a desk with a heap of junk? Because if I didn't put him to bed, he'd be up until 4 a.m. So I'm surprised he hasn't made a cameo on here. He was in the shower when we started, and now he's upstairs, and I can hear him running around. So I gotta get him.
Daddy duty calls. I get it. Mommy duty call as well.
Well, Tim, let's do
as you call her. She said, "Wonderful conversation. I love the conversation. Thank you to you all. I love the conversation as well."
You want to say bye-bye?
Yeah, so let's definitely do a part 2, and give us a shout out tomorrow on the balloon party. I'll be listening, tune in.
All right, I appreciate it.
It's a party. It's a party. Yay!
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
See you.
And I'm sorry. Last thing. Did you have any special shout outs?
I mean, I don't have. I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy I got a job. I got cut from everything. I'm just happy. I'm happy I'm in my hometown working. So thank you to anybody who has listened over the years, and whether you love it or hate it, thank you for listening, because it's all the same on the bottom line.
Most definitely. And once again, thank you for your time. Give us that shout out tomorrow on the balloon party, because once again, I'll be tuned in.
I'll do it on TMA and on Balloon Party. And if you guys send me a link to replay this for our listeners, I would send that out. What's up?
Say hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hello. It's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, tell them it's time to get ready for bed, but I don't want to get ready for bed.
What time is usually bedtime?
9:30. Got another hour.
9:30. Oh, you got the same kind of thing I got going.
That's what I know what you mean. Shower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mommy duty calls now, so I have to sign off as well.
All right. Cool. Thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Most definitely. Have a great night and evening, and I'll be tuning in tomorrow morning.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Take it easy.
All right, you too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
That was an awesome interview with Tim McKernan. That's just how we do here at the Platform Sports Talk Show. Bunny, I know you got to go, so thanks for your time and staying on later as well. So you have a great.
Thank you all. Hope to see you all next Wednesday. Tell everybody good night.
Good night. She ain't saying that part.
Right, exactly. Now, if her sister was here at the Turn Up Queen, then she would be saying something, but her sister's not awake, so she's all quiet and shy, but whatever.
Right.
All right. Thank you all. See you all next week.
Good night, Bunny.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Then there was two.
Then there was two. And for those who are watching and tuning in and loving everything, y'all know what it is. The Platform Sports Talk Show. Give us a follow on Facebook, on the X, formerly known as Twitter. Go on YouTube. Joe, they go on there, they subscribe and click on that
bell,
because anytime we go live,
you all will be notified.
There we go. If y'all want to send us some suggestions on some guests or topics, you can email us at platformsportstalkshow@gmail.com. We also on that Insta at Platform Sports Talk. The show will be archived on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Also, immediately after the show, we on Roku as well. So add us as a channel on any Roku device. Put in the Platform Sports Talk Show. Also, you can listen to us high definition on Hot 365 Radio, where it's always hot. Go to their website, hot365radio.com, or download the app, iOS or Android devices. Put in Hot 365 Radio. Y'all already know, every first Wednesday of the month, Ladies Night, in which special announcement, breaking news. The guests from last week, our special guest panelist, Michelle Proctor, is officially a member of the Ladies Night crew. So you'll be checking her out every first Wednesday of the month. And of course, every last Wednesday of the month, you have the Man Cave. Shouts out to our newly new panelist for the man cave, should I say? Mario. He is a great addition as well. So the family just continues to keep growing and growing, and we're doing big, big things. Jobo, before I continue on with our topics, you remember a couple weeks ago we had the coach from Lutheran North, Damian Mitchell. He was on
Yes.
talking about his battle with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, check this out.
I love it. Thank you all. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Damien.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The love is crazy around here, man. I swear.
I was your picture. Let me see the poster.
You see his poster?
Here it is. Go, gold.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, Damian Mitchell. He was a guest about a month ago or so now, and he has officially beat cancer. So shouts out to you, man, and look forward to having you back on the show so you can tell us about that journey even more, and now being able to say, I defeated cancer, and Miss Dub says, woohoo. The wifey shouts out to you. My wifey says, awesome. And speaking of awesome, my wife definitely is. We just celebrated 2 years this past Monday, and just an incredible, incredible feeling. Joe, how long you and B been married now?
So we've been together 11 years to get all together, but this October we'll be married 9.
That's what's up, man.
So next year's a big one. Next year's a big one.
Yeah, he got to bring it now.
Yeah, we got married in October, late October, so we could, usually enjoy a World Series game for the rest of our lives on our anniversary. So we do the same thing every year. Make some spaghetti and watch a World Series game and have some wine or something. But that's what we like. We're really chill and calm. But 10 years next year, so that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And once again, shouts out to my wife and everyone who has been supporting us since day one. We love it. We love, and we're gonna keep this thing going forever. All right, so going into the sports, man. Once again, great conversation with our special guest Tim McKernan. Definitely look forward to having him back on.
Can I just say,
Joe,
I love when we have these people on and just hearing stories about Jack Buck, him welcoming him into his house, and the story about Barry Bonds, that stuff's just I like, or even just him and Jim Edmonds being bros. That's cool. I just like it, hearing these stories that they probably just don't tell everyone. So it's fun getting to know them.
Right, and like I said before, he spends an hour or maybe 4 hours a day talking about sports. So it's like, why would we want to bring all that up again when we want to get to know you? And that's what our show is about, and we love it, and we want to continue to bring people like him and others who have a great story to tell. We want to have that shown on the platform, Sports Talk Show. Miss Dub said, my mother said the first 10 years of marriage are the hardest.
I mean, me and Brendan, though, we think alike, okay? We love sports. We love comic books and Star Wars, and we really are best friends, okay? And so that's what makes this really easy for us. I'm not gonna say there hasn't been fights, because there has been. Being together with someone for 11 years will do that to you. But even today, he got off work, and I was thinking in my head, Subway sounds good. And he came up, he was like, hey, so Subway. And I just started laughing because I was like, we're literally, we have the same mind. So I don't know. You're together with someone every day pretty much, and you make it work. We have a good time. Love that guy. Love that guy.
And I can't recall right now on the spot, but I think it was something that my wife was thinking about or whatever. And I either called her and told her, and whatever she had in her mindset, I actually did it for her. And it was just like, oh, wow, you were in my mind. I think one thing that she said,
weird.
I think one thing that she said when we first were dating was she would get mad because not mad like but in regards to like you must have the cheat code because you're saying this, you're saying the right things, or you're answering this the exact way I want to answer. And like you said before about this being compatible, you had to have that, and you had to have that person be your best friend. Because if that person isn't your best friend, then how in the hell do you expect to have a long lasting marriage if you're not with your best friend? Bottom line, and especially someone like you just said before, someone that you can go through anything, not just through the good, but through the bad. And you can, if you have, not physical fights, but you know what I'm talking about, arguments or whatever. You're able to do it with a person that it can be resolved just like that, and y'all good to go. Ain't no going to bed, mad and pissed off. I can't stand. No, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not what it's about. So, definitely love, and the wifey says yes. Great stories in regards to Tim McKernan. So that is so dope. I thought it was pretty ironic how he brought up his relationship with Rick Ankiel. Because recently, Cole Reagans from the Kansas City Chiefs had this moment.
He's up into scoring position, and he throws another one all the way to the backstop. Wild pitches, and another one goes to the screen, and Reagans didn't cover home plate.
3 pitches in a row, and I'm like, wow, because see that as like we talked about with Rick Ankiel. Like that was just that was the same year the Braves won. It came back from 3-1. That was just a crazy time in baseball to see that, and then to see it happen to Cole Reagans a couple of days ago. I was like, wow.
Yeah, and hopefully he's good to go after that because he's been I believe that's who they got in the Chapman deal. Aroldis Chapman deal, and he's been really good for them.
All right,
I think I'm going now if you wanted to try to do a quick reboot. Quick reboot.
Give me 1 second. Be right back, y'all, at the Platform Sports. All right, just like that, we are back. Hope no more echoes. Go ahead and say something, Joe.
Yep.
Okay, you good to go? You solid?
I think so.
All right. Let me know in the comments. Of course, the people will have the final say, so we want to make sure they're good to go. Don't know why it's happening tonight, but the show's still going on, and for the most part, it's been all good. But normally we have our topic at the beginning of the show, but we had a special guest on earlier, so now we got to go take a different way. So now we're going to say, you now have my attention, and Jobo, I have a feeling that you have some stories that has your attention. So what's happening?
All right, like I said before the show, I have so many different things going on in sports right now, whether it's good or bad, but most of mine are bad. I'm gonna start with the good real quick. Is shouts out to Wayno, 199. I never thought it was gonna happen. I was getting nervous for him, but hey, he pitched good baseball last night against a really, really good Baltimore Orioles lineup. It's awesome seeing him fired up like that, because there hasn't been much to be fired up about this year. So that was awesome. It was cool seeing the video the Cardinals posted of him, clapping everyone's hands and giving hugs. So hopefully he says he's got about 3 more starts, and hopefully he gets that 200, because I said on the show before, Wayno doing the national anthem on opening day has been probably the brightest part of this year. So it would be cool, to end it on a high note with him getting win 200. So that's my happy one.
And just to add on, and it was just announced that he's going to have a official concert after their very last game of the season at Busch Stadium. Wayno will be having an actual concert right after the game at Busch Stadium. So that should be pretty cool as well.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. There's a lot of people saying like, wow, that's so cringe, or like Cardinals fans have gone enough already. Like, why are we upset about this? We suck. We're not playing. We're not going to the playoffs. Like let's. And everyone's like, oh, that's why his pitching hasn't been good. He's focused on his music. No, like it's been like this since the very beginning. He played music last year. He's played music a lot. it hasn't just recently happened. It's something fun. I'm sure they'll do something to where some of this goes to big league impact. It's just Wayno being Wayno. So I'm excited for him. I think it's cool that they're doing that because you got to give Cardinals fans something, something to cheer about here down the stretch. We only got about 2.5 weeks left, so I think it's cool. Hopefully if I'm not there, hopefully it's on TV.
All right, and you say you had some more.
All right. Whew, okay, so Alec Manoah, have you seen this stuff?
I heard about it, but please let everyone know.
All right, so Alec Manoah, pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's had an up and down year. He's been dominant in 2-3 years before this year, and he just hasn't been good this year. But he's been down, he's been back up, and so Toronto went to send him back down, and he's AWOL, I guess. He just didn't show up to AAA. And so I don't know what's going to happen with Alex Manoah. Are they going to try to trade him? Because I remember something like this. I think Jairo Munoz, he was sent to AAA, and then he just didn't show up for the Cardinals.
He just left. Yep. He's like, I'm done.
But it's like that was Jairo Munoz. This is Alec Manoah. He's like a big time pitcher. He's been pretty good in the league so far. So I don't know. That's just wild to me. So that's been a lot of bad juju with with him and the Blue Jays this year.
Yeah.
Another one. I just heard about this yesterday. Mike Babcock, the Blue Jackets coach, just signed there to be the coach this year. And this is hockey, if anyone didn't know, Columbus Blue Jackets. So apparently he is, I don't have the full story. Some of the players are saying this isn't happening, but it's already been reported that he is like he's taken his players' phones and like having it to where it's screened onto his monitor or his TV or whatever you want to call it in his office, and then gives it back to them. So he's like spying. He's like spying on his players' personal cell phones. Wow. And so like Boone Jenner, I think he's the captain. He was saying like, "Oh no, this isn't true," yada yada yada. But you had Paul Bissonnette and Ryan Whitney saying that they've already heard about this. Don't try to back him up because Mike Babcock's had some weird history in the NHL. There's a reason why he's coached a couple different teams now. So I don't know. It's under investigation right now, and that would just be really weird because who does that? That's just weird. Another one is
I was just telling the wifey yesterday. I said this like it's just every day or every week you just hear more weird things happening in this country. It is just beyond crazy. But for you to want to share your screen, share your screens and show your players' phones like they're 15, 16 years old, like come on.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of anything like that before in my life, when it comes to sports. Like if I'm like skeptical of her doing something when she's a teenager with her cell phone, then yeah, I'll look at it and see what she's doing. But like grown men, that's just weird to me. The Yankees, they're just like the Cardinals. Really weird, bad year this year. It started like Anthony Rizzo in May, I think. It was a play at first base. I think it was a pickoff or something, but he got a concussion that day. But the Yankees kept playing him, and he's talked about his vision, this and that. And he has been on the IL now for at least a month due to that reason. So they were just throwing him out there knowing that he had a concussion. And now you have one of baseball's top prospects, Jason Dominguez, who was in baseball playing in the majors for about a week. And it was last Wednesday. That's whenever he started complaining to the team that his elbow was hurting, and it progressively got worse throughout the day. And then you could see him throw a ball. He was trying to throw someone out at home, and it was a very weak throw. And he usually has a pretty good cannon. And now he's gonna have to get Tommy John.
Wow.
So I don't know if they need like a new team doctor. I think they need more than just a team doctor because Brian Cashman's got to go. They're doing something weird there. Like there's no reason that much money. But I mean, we talked about this before. There's Padres and Mets. They spend a lot of money too, but That's two people right there. And, people have mentioned that he could do the Bryce Harper thing of DH or play first base, but the Yankees have a DH and they have a first baseman. So where are they going to put him? Is he just going to just spend a whole year trying to recover from Tommy John surgery? I don't even know if he got the TJ yet. So a 20-year-old kid, just putting him through pain until he actually, tears something in his elbow.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, and he's the guy everyone calls the Martian. Is that correct?
Yes, but Yachty was the Martian first. I don't like how these people say this crap. Yachty's the real Martian. But yeah, I mean, he's a stud. He hit 2 homers against the Astros his first weekend, and that's like the Yankees finally got someone who could beat the Astros, and now he's not even going to be there. But. And then my last thing I'm sure we'll talk about is Aaron Rodgers. Do we think his career's over?
Okay, so and before I answer that question, Ms. Dub asked, "Do you think it's a case of poor preseason conditioning
for the Yankees?" Or
yeah,
I mean, not in this case, no, because I mean, like concussions don't just they don't just randomly happen. Like it's not like a Tommy John and Jason Dominguez. He's been he's went through every stage all the way up. It's something weird happened, and then the Yankees kept playing him and made it worse. But I mean, they had DJ LeMahieu, he's been one of those guys. Josh Donaldson, who's now with the Brewers. But they also, like I've said before, is they like to get a lot of older guys. Well, this is a 20-year-old. Like this shouldn't be happening.
Okay, yeah, she referring to the same player who is needs Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, so Miss Dub, he's not a pitcher, he's a center fielder, but there has been an increase, I feel like, of TJ this year, which I don't know what's going on with that, because I don't know if you've seen that list that I think Jeff Passan did it earlier. I can find it, but there is a ginormous list of pitchers that are just not playing this year now. And it's not here's some names. Max Scherzer, who just went on the IL today, he's done for the year. Jacob deGrom, Yu Darvish, Shane McClanahan, Robbie Ray. You got Frankie Montas, McCullers, Garcia, Ohtani. Like these are all guys that are having elbow and shoulder injuries. I don't know if I don't know what's going on. I really don't. That's a lot of big name guys to go down with injuries like that. So I really don't know.
So you asked about Aaron Rodgers. For those who don't know what happened to Aaron Rodgers, check this out.
I don't even want to laugh because I honestly feel so freaking bad for the guy. I know we got some people on this. I know we have some people on this show that just does not like Aaron Rodgers, but I mean you had to have been excited for the Jets and their fans finally having a good quarterback coming in, and I keep seeing a video of here's Aaron Rodgers highlights as a Jet, and it's him running in with the flag. That's depressing. And then you have some former NFL players blaming the Jets in their field because they have, the artificial turf and whatnot.
I mean, artificial, excuse me. Yep. And then for it to happen on 9/11 also. That also just like, wow. That was like the icing on the cake when you realize that happened on 9/11. So yeah, and I had, if you remember the predictions, I had the Jets winning the AFC East because of Aaron Rodgers. And now after just 4 plays, I'm going to the Dolphins.
Yeah,
I'm going right to the
I don't know if I still have mine up here. I know I have them at least in the wild card team, I think. I didn't think they were going to win the division or conference, but yeah, that's just rough. It sucks. Happy they still won that game. And shame on, what was it, ESPN or whoever we were listening to trying to say that, put an asterisk on this. Like, come on.
Oh, okay, yeah, because he was saying that during that punt return that was for a touchdown, that the player from the Jets actually tripped the Buffalo Bills player, and it should have been called a tripping penalty, but it wasn't, or a flag, and it wasn't. But
Meanwhile,
I mean, Josh Allen had like 18,000 turnovers in that game, and he
like
just ain't been
3
the same.
picks and a fumble. But like,
Right.
meanwhile, you got them saying that, but you got the Chiefs O-line playing off sides the entire game when they were playing, and no one's saying a dang thing about that. So like, come on, I don't want.
Yeah.
That's what you know what that is. They got their red and yellow glasses on, and that's all they care about. But
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, bottom line, I was definitely looking forward to Aaron Rodgers showing up and showing out for the Jets, and it is definitely unfortunate that after just 4 plays, his season is over. And I have no trust in Zach Wilson. I do trust the defense, but I have no trust in Zach Wilson, and it's going to be very important to see who they bring in as a veteran QB to challenge Zach Wilson for that spot. I could be wrong, maybe because he's been around Aaron Rodgers in the offseason and doing training camp, that he may have learned some things in regards to Zach Wilson. But as of right now, I just can't trust it until I see him do more, because you can show out, one game when a team isn't preparing for you, because they're preparing to play Aaron Rodgers. They're watching tape preparing to play Aaron Rodgers. They wasn't watching tape preparing to play Zach Wilson. So now you have the Cowboys, who just demolished the Giants. And we'll have these scores shown up in a second, well, in the football portion. But the Cowboys just demolished the Giants, and they have an incredible defense. And that's who the Jets are playing this upcoming week. So, Zach Wilson, you have to impress and let it and allow people to breathe a sign of relief, like, okay, we may be all right. This is going to be the first test. Did you have any more of stories?
No, I got it off my chest. There's a lot though.
Mr. Dub said that was embarrassing. Talking about that Cowboys and Jets game. Cowboys and Giants game, I believe. And so for me, a few things. So Joe was more so on the sad, this is messed up, somber mode. I'm gonna take it a little bit different here. Shouts out to Coco Gauff. She won this past weekend, U.S. Open, her first Grand Slam title of her career, and doing it at a very young age. She defied the odds. She should be pretty soon, if not now, but very soon, a number 1 ranked player. She had an incredible task, incredible tournament, incredible field to go through, and she made it happen. So, and to do it in New York, in the United States, on that stage, so many celebrities came out to see her play, to see a lot of the tennis players do their thing, but she came out and showed up and showed out. So shouts out to Coco Gauff. I know my mom was watching her play. She was texting me, calling me while I'm doing this and that, asked me, have I seen the match and everything. So just shouts out to Coco Gauff once again, and let's just see her continue to just build her legendary career. Shouts out to the WNBA and these 8 teams: the Chicago Sky, Atlanta Dream, Washington Mystics, Minnesota Lynx, Connecticut Sun, Dallas Wings, New York Liberty, and Las Vegas Aces, as the playoffs start tonight. Should be a nice run of games for the next few weeks for these ladies. I have a feeling that it's going to be the Aces versus the Liberty in the WNBA finals, but we shall definitely see. Jobo, we brought up football earlier. Joe Burrow, your man. Now, the highest paid player in NFL history with the Cincinnati Bengals. So congrats to him. For like almost every other show we have, someone signs like the biggest contract, whether it's in NFL or Major League Baseball or NBA. And we just be right there to report it. So that's pretty cool. And then last but not least, continue on with football. Week 1 was the first time that they had 14 black quarterbacks to start a NFL game. So you had Josh Dobbs, Desmond Ridder, Lamar Jackson, Bryce Young, Justin Fields, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Geno Smith. So that's almost half of the quarterbacks in the league, and that's pretty amazing. So just shouts out to them. Hope y'all all stay healthy, ball out, stay true to yourselves. Don't change. If you do, change for the better and adapt to be better and stay on the field, and don't allow off the field stuff to affect what's going on the field, because that's been one of the main issues, especially with young black players, is they cost themselves money and their career by doing off the field stuff. So once again, shouts out to them. It was just announced today that the NBA Board of Governors has approved a new policy that a team is unable to rest 2-star players in the same game. So whether it's a nationally televised game on ESPN or a TNT or just a regular game, no matter if it's a home game or if it's a road game. So for instance, if the Lakers, if LeBron James and AD don't play, it's going to be a problem. So one or the other has to at least be on the court, not just both of them off for a maintenance day, load management, etc. No, both stars have to be on at least on the court. Well, excuse me, one of the stars has to be at least on the court. But of course, the NBA want to have both stars on. So they will be monitoring teams, and someone had a list of teams that has multiple NBA All-Star, NBA All-Star players in the last 3 years. They had multiple teams like the Lakers and the Clippers and the Golden State Warriors and the Bucks. They had a lot of teams, almost all the teams in the league, that have at least 2 players that within the last 3 years they have been All-Stars. So they're the team that people are going to be looking at like, okay, can't be having both of your All-Stars out in the lineup. Y'all got to play. And I love it because you think about guys like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, even Jason Tatum recently said, these fans pay money and you don't know where they're coming from. Like, for instance, when my wife, when she got me tickets for the Lakers and Warriors game, you know how pissed we both would have been if Steph Curry and LeBron didn't play. Now I was fortunate that LeBron did play and AD, but Steph Curry was coming back from an injury, so he didn't play. So that was like legit. But just imagine if on purpose, due to low management, Joe, that the Lakers and Warriors coaches was like, you know what? Just take a whole, day off, whatever, for this game. But you got people flying in from out of town, out the country, spending buku of money because they get that one opportunity. Because not like everyone can just go to a game, and see a 41 games a season at home or whatever. People are saving up money to go see their favorite stars and to find out that they ain't playing because of low management. That's a problem. And that's what Kobe Bryant was saying. And God rest his soul. Jordan, Jason Tatum, what he's saying right now is people are paying this money to see a great product on the court. So why would I want to deprive the fans by not being there and showing up? It doesn't matter if I'm playing the Lakers or if I'm playing the Hornets. I'm going to be playing the game because fans pay to see me play. That's what Jason Tatum said. So I hope that more players, especially more stars, heard that. They're getting the message that unless it is an injury like what I got going on right here, something legit where you cannot walk, then look at the fan behind you. But if it's not, legit, then show up and be there for the fans. What's up, baby Boba? Look at the star on TV now. Hi. Don't try to be shy now. It is a family affair on the
Say it again. Say it again.
Hi.
There we go. She's telling the whole world hi. What's going on, baby Boba? All right, so Jobo, let's go ahead and get right into Week 1 NFL takeaways real quick. And for people who are watching, you will see on the screen what went down on Week 1. Of course, we had Thursday night football and the debut of the NFL season, in which our Detroit Lions defeated the Kansas City Chiefs by 1 point. I was like, whoa. Now, granted, Travis Kelce, he was hurt. He didn't play. And I think it's Kadarius Toney from the Chiefs was dropping like every pass from Patrick Mahomes. But I was like, okay, Lions, y'all show it up. And, y'all making me and Joe look good right now. And they start off.
They don't gotta beat teams like the Chiefs every week to get to the playoffs,
Right. So, just your thoughts in regards to that game and the start by the Lions.
So I was gone most of the day that day, but I caught most of that game, and I don't know, it was exciting. Like it's fun seeing a team like the Lions piss on the Chiefs, like banner night, I know I've said it on here before. I'm not a Chiefs fan like everyone else from St. Louis, jumped on the bandwagon. I will say though, me and Brendan just finished the quarterback, and I like Mahomes a smidge bit more than I did before. But that's a good little. It's not a documentary. I don't know what you want to call that, but I like that.
Yeah. And now, granted, disclaimer: we know it's just Week 1. We know that a lot of these players and teams, wasn't playing their star players during the preseason, so a lot of teams may be rusty. We understand that, but we're gonna still give out some reactions. Could be overreactions or whatever, but we're gonna talk about it. Let's see. Another game I was surprised was the Cleveland Browns beating the Cincinnati Bengals 24-3. Especially the first game after Joe Burrow just signed that massive contract. Now, granted, he was hurt in the preseason as well, so he has to get up to speed. So, long term, I'm not worried about the Bengals because the last 2 seasons, Joe, they've had slow starts, and then they end up being hot and being one of the best teams in football. So, I'm not concerned about the Bengals. What about yourself?
No, I'm not either. They're just too good of a team to lose that many games against teams like the Browns. And I mean, like you said, Joe Burrow, he was hurt. And then even Brendan was kind of saying, like, this is still like preseason game for a lot of teams. I mean, you got to think he had Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, Cousins. They all lost games week 1, So just, get going this week with practice and do it again on Sunday. And hopefully they can all go 1-1.
Right. Another game I was shocked, but I shouldn't be shocked. But the Buccaneers defeating the Vikings, and your husband out there, Baker Mayfield, throwing dimes out there. It's like I said, I'm shocked, but I shouldn't be because at the end of the day, it's the Vikings, and it's kind of like they do so good for a certain stretch, but then playoff time come or that big game coming the season, and they fall short. Now the Vikings got to go to Philadelphia tomorrow and win. So they may start off the season 0-2, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
That's going to be a big test right there, going to Philly, Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be tough, but shoot, I mean, I didn't think the Browns were going to beat the Bengals 24-3 either.
And let's talk about San Fran against Pittsburgh. San Fran won 30-7. Brock Purdy came back his first game since his injury last season, and that team is going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. Yes. I know T-Bone was at home with his robe on. Like, yes, he probably had a nice little fat cigar. A nice fat cigar. And like, oh, yeah, see y'all in the playoffs. That team is loaded. They play the Rams this upcoming Sunday, so that should be interesting.
Craig Black. So there's going to be some shit talking in the chat, huh?
It is. I look forward to it. Craig Black's Washington Commanders defeated the Arizona Cardinals 20-16. And let's see what else. Another game I was shocked.
Dolphins.
Green Bay.
I was going to say that was an entertaining game. Okay.
Green Bay and Chicago. Jordan Love's first game. This is after Aaron Rodgers' era. I thought the Bears were going to come out like gangbusters, and they highly disappointed me. I was so stunned to see what the Packers did to the Bears, because I had the Bears, I think, going to at least the playoffs, like the wild card. And after that, now, like I said, I know it was the first game of the season, but I just expected more from the Bears and Green Bay, and Jordan Love, in Green Bay, just came in there at Soldier Field and said, yeah, y'all still the bees. And I talk about the Bears. So now, going to the Dolphins and Chargers. Now, I wasn't surprised because I'm a big fan of the Dolphins, and as long as Tua is healthy, they're going to be just fine. And you saw the dynamics between Tua and Tyreek Hill. Man, when that I fully understand why his name is called Cheetah, because he can go from 0 to 100 in different directions just like that, Joe. And the Chargers, they have a great offense as well. Looks like they kind of remind me of the Vikings and the Cowboys, where you expect them to go forward, but then there's something happens that holds them back. And game one was like a perfect example of that. Miami went to LA and they came back actually and won that game. Amazing
Sounded
game.
like
Your
a
thoughts?
Dolphins game. There's a lot of Dolphins fans there, it sounded like.
Yeah. And
But
it's
no,
gonna
I
be,
mean,
it's gonna be,
no, sorry, I was just gonna say that was a real entertaining game. I felt like it was back and forth there for the majority of it. Like you said, Tyreek Hill, though, dude's fast as hell. Him and Tua were, on the same page, and I mean, Tua was throwing dimes all over the place. So I mean, like you said, if he just stays healthy, then that team's looking pretty dangerous.
yeah, that's the biggest thing once again is Tua has to remain healthy. Another stunner for me, the Rams defeated the Seahawks. I do not have any high hopes for the Rams because of their lack of players offensively. Cooper Kupp, he's hurt again, could be out for the next 4 or 5 weeks. They were saying reports about Stafford not getting along with the rookies on the team, and the defense. I just don't know about the defense anymore. But they went to Seattle, and it is not easy to get a win in Seattle. And the Rams dominated the Seahawks, especially in the second half when the Seahawks didn't even score in the second half. They dominated. So I was impressed. Once again, we know it's just week one, but I was impressed with the Rams and how they showed up in Seattle.
Don't make me try to say anything nice about the Rams, okay? Just Stanton was happy for a weekend, and let's see what this weekend looks like with the Niners, you said.
Right. And let's see, up next. So Sunday night football on the left. As I said before, Cowboys destroyed the Giants. And then we all saw what happened with Buffalo and the Jets. So that was week one. Look forward to week two starting tomorrow night. So that was the NFL. Joe, let's talk about some college football. And Tim McKernan brought it up earlier. And we have to just say it, man. It's truly amazing to see what Coach Prime is doing at Colorado. And I had to say this because it's been years for me that I've been so excited to see one team. And I ain't even talking about Mizzou. Like that's the biggest issue, because you know how I feel about Mizzou. But I haven't followed a team so closely like I am with the Colorado Buffaloes. And of course, the reason why is Coach Prime and everything that he's brought to that team, doing it his way. And I think that's also why I love following LeBron James and supporting him, because of the story. The story of Deion going from HBCU and now going to Colorado with all the haters, the naysayers, people who trying to pick on him and his team and say this and say that. And now, as of today, they are ranked number 18 in the country. They're the most exciting team to watch right now because of the story. Dion is bringing out celebs and you name it. They're in Boulder, Colorado, Joe. Not in Texas, University of Texas or University of Alabama or Ohio State. But we're talking about in Colorado. And he just doing such amazing things. Like, it's so amazing that Colorado just drew over 10. The Colorado-Nebraska game itself had over 10 million viewers. It was the most watched game of the week, even beating Alabama versus Texas, in which Texas won that game. The game would have ranked in the top 5 of most watched regular season college football games last year. So him doing what he's doing in Colorado, and the team is winning, and you have a two-way player in Travis Hunter who's doing his thing. Of course, his two sons, Shador and Shiloh Sanders, are playing and showing out. And Jimmy Horn Jr., he had an incredible game. Xavier Reaver, he showed out this past Sunday. The running back, Saturday. The running back, Dylan Edwards. I mean, this team is playing the exact way that Coach Prime is coaching and preaching right now. They have a swag to them. They're super confident. They want the smoke, Joe. Like, it's not we'll see about when we play Oregon. No, they no, we want Oregon. We want USC. We want eventually, if it comes down to it, Georgia. They want the smoke. And I think also, Joe, and please chime in after I say this. But people are watching not just because of the story of Dion and to see about how good the team is, but you also have those people who want to see him fail.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
It's funny is because I do, and this is going to a different sport, but I mean, I could even bring it to, I could tell it to any sport really, but it's like when the Astros are in the playoffs or granted in the World Series, people watch because they want them to lose. People watched the Super Bowl those years because they wanted to see Tom Brady lose, and they watched the playoff hockey and Stanley Cup playoffs because they wanted, back then it was, I want to see the Kings and the Blackhawks lose, and now it's probably the teams like the Lightning. I want to see the Lightning lose because they've been in there all this time, and it's for all different types of reasons, but it happens. You got people that would say that about LeBron these days, even. It's just like, I'm over you. I don't want to do this anymore. Or you did this, you did that. And I'm going to watch. It's kind of like what Tim was saying, like if he listens to the radio, he's not like listening to it and he's going to call in because he hates it. He's just going to stop watching it. But you got people out there that are going to watch something to complain about it or to root against something. And yeah, I mean, I think that's just sports. That's just being a human. Honestly, that's probably going to be out there for anything, not even just sports.
Right. And this Nebraska game was different for many players, especially Deion Sanders' quarterback, his son, Shador. And this game was personal because of the head coach from Nebraska, Matt Rule, and something that he said about the way Deion is and about the school. And I want to show this clip right now so you can see why he took it.
Extremely personal. We go out there, warm up. You got the head coach for the other team trying to stand in the middle of the buff. Like, it's okay if like a couple players do it. It's fine, Like, just enjoy the scenery. But when you got the whole team trying to disrespect it, then I'm not going for that at all. So I went in there and disrupted it. So they knew off rip, like, nah, the Buffaloes mean a lot to me. And personally, that's what I was saying pregame, and that's when I knew it was just extreme disrespect. And that's why it was the coach said a lot of things about my pops, about the program, but now that he want to act nice, I don't respect that, because you hating on another man, you shouldn't do that. So it was just, all respect was gone for them in their program. Now, I like playing against their DC, I like playing against them, but the respect level, it ain't there because you disrespected us first.
Man, I love it, Joe. I just
You know,
love
it's good
hearing.
entertainment.
Yes, like I said, it's stuff like that that's gonna bring more people to tune in and check out this story that is the biggest story in sports, not just college football, but in sports right now, and all because of what Deion Sanders is doing. So for those who are still mad that he's not at Jackson State at an HBCU, or he didn't choose your preferred school, whatever, hey, it sucks for you because life still goes on and he's still doing his thing. And I look forward to seeing what's going to happen in the next few games with Colorado because they have a big test coming up in 2 weeks against Oregon. Then they have USC. Then they have Washington, UCLA. All these teams are ranked in the top 25. So the Pac-12 is having an incredible start to their season. We'll see how it ends. And it's also crazy because you're not really hearing a lot about the SEC, especially after Alabama lost, LSU lost week 1. Now Georgia is undefeated, but people are saying that they may not have a great of a team. So the SEC as a whole might take a step back, while the Pac-12, especially in their last year of having all these teams, they're going out guns blazing, Joe. So I look forward to seeing more about Colorado and just the whole, season of college football as well. So exciting times.
Yeah, like I said last week on Ladies' Night is all I saw on Twitter was after week 1 was, Coach Prime and that Colorado team. So I know as soon as I sat down and looked at my X or Twitter and I saw that Colorado won again, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I told Brendan right away. So I mean, may not sit down and watch a whole game because I've said it before, college football doesn't really do anything for me, but it's cool to see, other teams like this that aren't just Georgia and LSU out there making noise. And so it's exciting. And like I said, those jerseys are fire.
And one last thing.
All right, guys, looks like we're having some difficulties. You there? Maybe not. Okay, so we're still live. I did not know that. But all right, so let's talk about the Cardinals real quick because, as we said when Tim was on, they're playing good baseball right now. They just went on a road trip of 9 games against really good teams, really good offensive teams, and stadiums that the ball flies out in. And we took 2 out of 3 from every series against the Braves, the Reds, and then tonight the first place Baltimore Orioles. So that was exciting. You had Drew Rom, who we got in the Jack Flaherty trade with the Baltimore Orioles, and he went out and pitched the best game so far in his first 5 or 6 starts. I told Smooth in the game that, he's someone I'm excited about watching when he got up here because he was highly, talked about within the Baltimore's organization. And whenever he came here to the Cardinals organization, he was pitching really good in Memphis. Didn't start out too hot for him whenever he got here, but he's had a good start here or there. But tonight he was dominant against the Baltimore Orioles, his former organization, and I mean everything was working for him. And that's 2 good starts in a row with Waino and Drew Rom. I'm not saying Drew Rom is going to be in our rotation next year. And me and my husband were talking about this scares me a little bit because that's 2 good starts. I don't want Mo taking back his words of saying, we need to go out there and get 3 pitchers from outside of our organization. I don't want him thinking Drew Rom's going to be like our ace next year after 1 start. I would like to think he's not going to do that, but we will see. Crazier things have happened, I guess. But I can see him being a good piece out of the bullpen. But tonight was a weird lineup. You had an infield of Alec Burleson, Richie Palacios, Mason Wynn, Jose Fermin, and Andrew Kisner. We got a couple guys banged up right now, and Wilson Contreras and Nolan Gorman. Nolan Arenado, he's kind of went down again a little bit. And then our outfield, it was O'Neill and Newbar and Jordan Walker. So it was a weird lineup out there tonight. But I mean, they end up squeaking out a win, 1-0. The Orioles, though, they have a big series. And I'm gonna talk about the Orioles just a little bit because it's another team that I pay attention to a lot. It's my family on my dad's side, big Browns fans growing up, and now obviously the Browns turn into the Baltimore Orioles, and so that's someone I pay attention to. But they have a really, really big series coming up this weekend, starting tomorrow night in Baltimore against the Tampa Bay Rays. With the Rays win today and the Orioles loss, the Orioles only hold a 2-game lead, and this is the last time they play each other this year. So it's going to be electric in Baltimore. That place, whenever they play good baseball, which again, it hasn't happened like for a full year in quite some time. 2016 was the last time they made the playoffs in the wild card. And then the last time they actually hosted a playoff game was in 2014. So it's going to be electric there this weekend. And hopefully, hopefully the O's can at least win 3 out of 4, if anything split, because I know my family's stressing out about it. So I want them to be happy, especially since the Cardinals aren't in there. But if the O's face the Astros in the playoffs, I'm gonna have to not talk to them because that's gonna be a little stressful. But Cardinals go back home. They're off tomorrow. And let me see who we playing. It's crazy because we only have like 12 games left on the year. Well, let's see who the Cardinals are playing. Oh, they're playing the Phillies, and guess who they're going up against? Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola. The Cardinals are going to play Aaron Nola on Friday. So you know what that means, Smoove?
I don't know what you was talking about because my internet, it's crazy. My internet just cut off all of a sudden for like a second or two, and now I'm back on. But you talking about in regards to the Cardinals clowning, and now they got to face Aaron Nola at home against the Phillies.
Aaron Nola, and let's see if Zach Wheeler's in there. Ranger Suarez and Taiwan Walker. Okay, we might get a game, but Aaron Nola, he owns the Cardinals. That's just common knowledge right there. But no, just talking about how Cardinals somehow went on a 9-game road trip and won 6 games, and I was saying, I don't know if you didn't hear this. Me and Brendan were talking about how we had a couple good starts in there, and we could just see Mo be like, well, we had some good starts, and maybe we don't need those 3 guys outside the organization. Just some crazy stuff like that. We have 7 to 8 starters in our in our rotation this year. So like Dakota Hudson, he's been pitching good. That loss on Monday, what day is it? Monday. I thought he pitched a lot better than what the score was. But that does not mean I want him to be in the rotation next year. He probably should even be in this organization next year. But
yeah, that's how I feel about Matthew Liberatore. I'm like, you know what? He's been trying. Maybe he's best suited for the bullpen or something, but as a starter, I just can't see it.
No, and that's something right there I should have talked about when you were gone is Livy, I agree. Rotation, probably not it. If he can just add in another pitch or another arm slot against the righties, then I think he can be very, very dangerous out of the bullpen, because you can't say he's a lefty specialist anymore because you had to face 3 or just 1 and done. But I don't know. He's faced some lefties here recently. I think he's faced a Schwarber, and the other night it was Gunnar Henderson, I think. So I mean, he could be something out of the bullpen.
Yeah, he could just be one of those guys that he just has to maximize all his pitches in just 1 or 2 innings, and that's it. You
Yeah.
can't depend on him for like 5, 6 innings because he may not have the same stuff and he doesn't know how to use. He doesn't know how to be a pitcher when it comes to being, throwing more than 1 or 2 innings. So
And
that
there's
just may be the
nothing
case.
wrong with that, I mean, like, and me and Brennan have talked about this before too, is like, if you've ever noticed the very really good closers or just relievers, 7, 8, 9 inning guys, like, you're always wondering, like, where the hell did they come from? They're always just
Mhm.
like weird names. They just kind of popped out of nowhere. Maybe that's what Libby is, he just suits better there, and everyone's gonna be like, okay, like, where did Liberatore come from? And he just ends up being a dominant 8th inning guy or something.
Right. I want to talk about 2 players in particular who one player had a very rough start because new team organization didn't know how to treat him. They benched him, or not benched him, but had him on as a DH and took him out from him being a catcher. But at the end of the season now, Wilson Contreras has been amazing since the All-Star break. He now feels at home. He now feels like, okay, you know what? I'm the guy that the team brought in. Is he gonna be a gold glove catcher? Maybe not. But he's gonna be solid enough catching wise that he should remain the primary catcher going to next year because he'll have another year in his belt now with the organization and he's comfortable now. That's the biggest thing. But his bat offensively, I'm gonna give out this stat, Joe. I saw this a while back and I was like, wow, after all he's been through, he is in the ranks of, check this out. So amongst catchers in Major League Baseball, he's second in slug, third in homers, third in doubles, third in walks, third on base percentage, third OPS, fourth in RBIs, fourth in average, fifth in runs, seventh in hits. He's 5 home runs away from matching Albert Pujols' home run total from last year. And he's already 1 RBI away from Pujols' RBI totals. So he's about to pretty much do exactly what Pujols did last year. After everything that this man has been through. So I've been saying I believe in Contreras. It's just the way that the organization treated him. But I truly believe that next year he's going to just be that guy, and he's going to demand just maybe it may not even be directly, but indirectly maybe he's going to be the leader of that clubhouse next year, especially with Wayno gone or not on Goldie. They're just not that boisterous, talkative leader. They're more of a lead by example or watch them come in and play hard, whatever. But I feel Contreras is a perfect energy guy, and he's going to be more productive even more next season. Your thoughts?
No, I agree with that 100%. And like I was just saying yesterday, because it's either yesterday or Monday, he had his 30th double of the year. And I was just like, if the Cardinals just treated him like a normal human being, that would be like one less thing off his shoulders, and not just off our shoulders of like how awful this year has been, because he went through hell and back in the first month and a half with this team treating him like garbage, throwing him underneath the bus, saying he's the reason why we're not winning games, and he's gonna probably have his best offensive year since he's been in the league. So out, I'm hoping he's here next year. I can like still feel it in the back of my head that they're gonna trade him or something like that.
That'd be stupid.
I agree, it would be very stupid, but I mean, what
You
I
don't
don't know.
put nothing past the Cardinals.
Not right now. And this is the thing, is you keep hearing how everyone's like Kisner is the captain of this team because of him vocally, and uh Kisner has surprised me this year, but the dude cannot throw the ball down to second. And if he needs one thing to work on, Just please, for the love of God, like it's bad. It's probably one of the worst arms I've ever seen in baseball for a catcher. But
And truthfully, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead first.
no, I was just gonna say. I mean, I can see they'll probably trade Herrera because of how the clubhouse and the team sees Kisner. Which, I mean, I guess it's not the worst thing, but I can see that one because since Herrera hasn't really been given like a full opportunity, and he'll probably go out and be a stud for someone. But I mean, if Kisner or Contreras split time and that all works out, then who cares? But I mean, I'd probably think Kisner needs to be a guy that's traded and probably gives you more.
I was gonna say the same thing, Joe. That was my thought process.
Yeah, I think he gets you more in return too, with how the
Right.
team treats him, sees him, and again, he's having a great offensive year. You know, it's just if he just works on his arm strength, then he's a really good catcher. You know, and there's the one team I keep seeing in my head is because I can picture him in the pinstripes, and the Yankees need
my mindset.
the Yankees need like an actual good
Yes.
catcher. I
Right.
can see that happening, and I don't know how trades work in the league because sometimes I think something's smart and good, and then I see the like the Aroldis Chapman trade. I didn't think the Royals got anything back, and now the guy's doing good. So what do I know? But I don't know. I know like Brendan Kiley's high on Clark Schmidt. You know, if they can do something like that, and we get a Clark Schmidt type guy to go in the back end of our rotation, then I think that'd be good, but I mean, they'll probably trade Herrera.
And last but definitely not least for the Cardinals, gotta talk about Jordan Walker, man. Remember a few shows ago, I was saying, man, it's embarrassing how you seeing him and other outfielders don't know how to look at the wall and rob a baseball, rob a home run, and how he looking kind of crazy, trying to track down fly balls, etc. Well, over this last month, he has shown, I mean, the change from what he was doing early in the season to what he's been now in the outfield, looking so comfortable, getting balls, whether they're bouncing off the wall, off the carom, or a line drive to him. And even now, you're seeing runners, doesn't matter who you are, you're seeing runners see him with the ball in his hand, like, I think I'll stay at first base because he's throwing accurate bullets to each bag now. So he's doing those small things that Willie McGee has been, working with him throughout the whole season. And he's blossoming onto a very solid, and down the line, I can now say he's going to be a plus right fielder because he's young, he's athletic. And I think now if you try to put him at first base, that's going to deprive him of his agility that he has. So he has definitely stepped up over this last month or two in regards to how he goes to the attacks the ball and can read how to get the ball off of the wall and those darts to to a base. So shouts out to Jordan Walker for just improving his skills.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I feel like some of us have been saying from the beginning is like he's 20, 21 years old, playing a position he's never played before in his life, and everyone is already like, saying, "Oh, he's not it," or we need to trade a third baseman, or he needs to play first base. Like, give the guy some time, and it's the best time now to do it. Is we're not a good team. Give him every opportunity, to get better, to work with Willie McGee, and to be a plus outfielder next year. And I said last week or 2 weeks ago, this guy, I think he's gonna have a monster year next year. Like he's been playing great baseball in every way. He's running well. He's like you said, he's throwing bullets all around the field. He's diving. He's reading the ball off the bat. He's been so much better. He looks confident. Maybe having his boy Mason Wynn up there is helping that. But I mean, I do think he's the right fielder of the future. And they mentioned it on 101. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a contract extension before opening day on 2024.
Oh yeah, because he definitely ain't going anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Definitely is not going anywhere. But speaking of going somewhere, oh, Ashley, last thing I want to bring up, your boy. So it was announced that the Angels,
Mm.
if Mike Trout says, "Hey, I want to be traded," the Angels are willing to make that happen. Joe, we know how much you love Mike Trout. If you are in Mike Trout's shoes, you just got an extension from the Angels not so long ago. But do you go ahead and tell them, "Hey, it's time for me to go"?
I mean, if I'm Mike Trout, then yeah, of course. Because if you are Mike Trout and you're looking at the present and the future of this team, there is no future. Like it's Shohei is not coming back. You have one of the worst farm systems in all of baseball. You just made trades for fun and then got rid of all them on waivers. Like you can't sit there and take this team seriously. If he wants to win, he will tell them 100% that, hey, I want to get out of here. If he doesn't want to win and I saw Ben Verlander talk about this, if he just wants to, be a legacy player and just play like Joey Votto. Joey Votto hasn't played in that many more playoff games than Mike Trout, and he's never wanted to leave Cincy because he loves Cincy. Maybe that's the type of guy he wants to be, is just stay there. I was just looking at it. He's getting like 35 million every year until 2030. Like he's set for life. He's in sunny California, and maybe he just wants to keep putting up monster years and just retire as an Angel. And it's crazy to think about it with how stacked the Phillies lineup is already, but that's the team that makes the most sense because that's where he's from, is Philly. And that could you imagine Harper, Turner, Schwarber, Trout, Castellanos, Baum? Like, oh my gosh, that would be
Man,
insane.
that would. But yeah, Trout, man, don't be like Damian Lillard and stay with the team too long when you don't have a chance to win the title, man. Go and be in a situation where your skills can be displayed on a winning team. Stop holding back yourself, man. Don't be like I said this before a while back, but that was one of the biggest mistakes for Carmelo Anthony. Was he decided to stick with the Knicks when he had the opportunity to get traded to the Chicago Bulls, and he denied the move because he wanted to stay in New York because he's a New York guy and he didn't want to leave. But the Bulls were on course. They just had the rookie Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah and Luol Deng. I mean, that team was stacked. And if Carmelo would have joined that team during that time, they could have gave LeBron and the Heat a run for their money. But Carmelo stayed because of the money and because of the Knicks. And he hasn't had a close opportunity since then to get a championship. So Mike Trout, don't make that same mistake by staying on the team too long, trying to be loyal to a team that's not giving you the exact return. That's exactly why LeBron left Cleveland the first time, because he was loyal for those first 6-7 years, but they never gave him a actual roster. Yes, they went to a finals one time, but I mean, that roster, you didn't know anyone's name on that roster when he played, the first go around with Cleveland, until he left to get to a winning situation, a winning culture. If you put a talent like Mike Trout on a team that has a winning culture, oh my God, that's going to change his career. So Mike Trout, for the sake of your career, you don't want to be known as one of the best players in baseball history to not be in a winning organization where you have a chance to compete for a championship every year. Bottom line.
Yep.
But with that being said, y'all, that is our show for the evening. It's been fun. Shouts out to our special guest, Tim McKernan. I look forward to tuning in the morning, TMA and the Balloon Party, to see how much love you show the Platform Sports Talk Show. We definitely got to get him back on for another, like a part 2, get some more stuff out of him, because you could tell he loves to talk, and we love to hear the stories and his experiences. Shouts out to Bunny as well, to everyone who tuned in. Thank you very much. Jobo, once again, thank you very much for for being there with me as well. For those who heard the echoing earlier, we apologize. Don't know what happened, but things happen with technology. This was a bad night for little bits and pieces, but it is what it is. But we made it, and we look forward to the show next week. Don't forget, you can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Subscribe, Joe. Click on that
bell,
because anytime we go live,
y'all will be notified.
You can email us at platformsportstalkshow@gmail.com. We on Instagram at platformsportstalk. The show will be archived and uploaded on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also on Roku as well. You can also hear us every Wednesday, y'all, on Hot 365 Radio, where it's always hot. We also have every first Wednesday of the month, Ladies Night, every last Wednesday, the Man Cave. And with that being said, y'all have a great rest of y'all evening. Jobo, once again, thank you very much, and we out.